Wow, it's just technical glitch after technical glitch tonight are just completely trying to shut us down. But lo and behold, we're here anyway. Welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Wrestling Podcast. My name is Owen, and I'll shoot straight with you guys because I'm always honest, 100%. I'm going to say right now that this was not a time that I got to really watch anything this week. I feel terrible, but it's just been so much hectic get up and go, trying to get everything taken care of with all the reviews and the verses and all the movies we have to watch in order to do the movies and the verses. And to be honest, I just didn't have time. And Raw just kind of put me into a wrestling coma, so I didn't necessarily want to keep going right away. But lo and behold, next week, hopefully everything will go back to normal. I look at my schedule and I see that I don't work as much as I have this week, so I should be able to actually watch things this week. But thankfully, I have someone who has watched things this week, and that is my co-host and my partner in crime, my popcaster from across the pond. Welcome back, Ashley.
Oh, my word. Well, considering I haven't done a video in about a month on this stuff, there's a giant backlog, so that's partly covered by the video that I've recorded and will be up at some point in the next 24 hours. Or if you're listening to it on archive, it's probably already up.
Correct.
Depending how long it takes to get transferred to the sharing place where we go. So,
Indeed.
But, well, the first issue that we're going to talk about isn't even a show. It's not even indies. It's not television. Well, it sort of is television.
Mm.
It's where in the world is the shit going on with TNA?
Yeah.
Fuck Carmen Sandiego. Jesus Christ! Right, let me get the miles of notes that I have on this shit.
Carmen Sandiego wants to know what's going on with TNA right now.
So, if you think about it, this has all really started since Spike.
Right.
Arguably. Ever since that deal fell through, I mean, I think that this is like the full sort of, the day that everything changed, according to Meltzer, because this is where the article's from, I think. July the 15th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
Because the parent company of the Fight Network... Oh, well, hang on, that's not all the bloody story, bastards. It goes back to them, which I guess was when... I think that was when the story came Vince Russo.
Yep.
I think.
Them basically not telling the world that Russo was still on their payroll and lying about it.
Yeah. While they were trying to negotiate a new deal.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
So that sort of came out, which then led to Destination America. And again, doing stuff that wouldn't cater to their market, even though it was getting them viewers. If it ain't going to please the board and whatever, and as well, part of me wonders whether the issue that everybody said about why don't these stations give publicity, if TNA doesn't give direction to these television, why should they publicize it? Because it's not like Spike or it's not like Spike or Pop TV or Destination America, whatever, are actually sort of financially involved with it.
Right.
that it's different when you get to the international stuff, because there's a lot of money involved with Fight Network for obvious reasons now. But obviously there was a lot of money involved with the UK, and there is
Correct.
a lot of money involved with India. Notice the tenses there. If you haven't kept track of this stuff, it gets interesting. So basically, I see. I copied and pasted the thing in the wrong section, so I was right about the whole Spike Vince Russo thing. But yeah, so obviously Corgan came in. What, about 6 months ago, was it?
Yeah.
It's around lockdown time, I think, because it was another situation that TNA's out of money, which, to be honest, it has been running on a shoestring for years, because for, what would you say, about 3 years, it was just the basically Dixie's project that Mummy and Daddy Panda Energy funded.
Yeah, basically, I would say, Ashley, that Panda could have pulled the cord at any time, but for some reason they chose to pacify Dixie by letting her run the company. Corgan came in April of 2015.
Wow, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But it was only in the last few months when they needed quite a bit more money, for the lockdown. I think it was the lockdown tapings, wasn't it, or something like that?
Well, it was Bound for Glory week was where it really picked up, and then pretty much put the nail in the coffin for the current deal, and that's the reason Anthem jumped on board. But
yeah, but it was a few months before when Billy came in, because that's when he sort of started becoming a figurehead.
Right, and that's what the stuff with Aerolux as well.
Yeah, that all has combined in everything. But ever since Bound for Glory, which was October 2nd?
Yep.
Everything started to trickle out. Multiple companies over the course of the last month have come forward saying TNA owes us money. Billy Corgan obviously has, because he thinks that he had a right to sort of get the company, but now it's sort of been taken from his grasp or whatever because of what Dixie was doing. There was somewhere in the state of Tennessee, I think. Well, no, was it the actual state of Tennessee itself?
Yeah, I believe
provided
so.
money in some shape or form. The bloody production, the merch production people that do all the merch and everything for Shop TNA, they're suing them for unpaid revenue. It's got messy. More and more of these stories have been coming out. And obviously this went to court with Corgan basically saying, I have the right, being somewhat of an investor. I think, no, actually it was Bound for Glory weekend, because he wasn't providing, basically realized he could take it over himself and do it. Because I have heard that is the kind of guy that he is. Because, that Resistance Pro promotion that was his?
Yeah, of course.
He got kicked out of it.
Yep.
Because he wanted control himself. So in essence, he might be just as bad as Dixie if he was to be in charge. Possibly. In terms of the financials. Who knows? Oh, and another person that was also owed money was Dale Oliver. The guy that's written all their music.
Yeah. That actually came to
which
the
is
forefront,
why
too.
which is why the episode back on the 13th, so a month ago, nearly never made it to air because the music of Mike Bennett and DJ Z never got signed off officially on a release form.
It's crazy.
So the music had to be edited out at the last minute on the US broadcast, but because it was all taped and sent internationally, the music aired on the Canadian, the UK versions, which means he could do them for that as well. So
It's
yeah,
just a messy situation.
Anthem came in and provided a shit ton of money,
Yes.
but because of the legal proceedings that were done, you know, Corgan saw this as basically them investing sort of thing, which he didn't approve of. Which, when the court case came out, it was specified that this was basically what, like a grant or something?
In all essence, pretty much, yes.
A financial grant. So then it basically went to court as to, like, is there a case to answer for Corgan? And this is when it goes even more clusterfucky, because the judge rules that there is no way to prove that TNA was insolvent because the company was that badly fucking run for the past 2 or 3 years. It could have been insolvent when he first came in, not just at this point in time in October 2016. Because there's no clear evidence for it. The case for him got dismissed.
Right.
So then Fight Network have sort of come in and they sort of have 85% of the company, but sort of don't. So the guy from Impact, the guy from Impact Ventures, as it's now being known,
Right.
Who is the boss of Fight Network and all that. If I can find the details on it. He is CEO, I think, and basically is in charge of everything. However, technically, their 85% ownership isn't ownership. It's just somewhat of a stake because they're providing the money to Dixie. So technically, Dixie is still like 92.5% shareholder.
Yeah.
With Anthem having like 5%, I think, because they're basically trying to buy out Corgan's share.
Makes sense.
And Aerolux having the other couple of percent and whatever to make it up to 100. Probably not right with the math, but it's somewhere around like that. But because of that, that means Dixie's still president.
Yeah.
Just the problem.
That is a big problem.
And then the added thing is TNA was required contractually to pay Billy Corgan back his loan of $1.8 million on the 1st of November, which is probably why he went after them. I'm guessing it was an 18-month deal or whatever. And the idea was that he would be paid back, which, considering how he was in that company for 18 months, he knew they never paid anything back. So why did he think he was any different? And then on top of that, Challenge here in the UK issued a statement saying Quote, "We know that many TNA fans will be disappointed to hear this, but we wanted to let you all know that as of January, Challenge will no longer be airing TNA in the UK. TNA has been a huge and important part of Challenge's story over the last few years, and will treasure great moments like the British Boot Camp and the UK tours." More from column B there than column A, to some respect, apart from Rockstar Spud. Because whatever happened, because Matt Mandrews is having more success still on the British indie scene than he ever is in TNA. But then, here's the giant fuck up. Impact issued a reply to this, saying, "We're proud to have such a great relationship with Challenge and appreciate how they brought Impact to our avid viewers. In today's world, spoilers are inevitable. We've heard from the amazing fans in the UK, and no, you don't want to wait 3 to 5 days to after it airs in the US. So what they're saying is the reason why the viewership's been dwindling is because the episodes air in America and people get the results from that. Despite the fact that everything we're seeing now was taped 5 weeks ago.
Yes.
That's the TV isn't the spoilers. The actual tapings that you're doing is the spoilers.
Right.
That's the issue. That's the major fucking issue.
It's a really messed up situation because TNA is behind the 8 ball even more than ever before right now. And I'll tell you, I don't know if it shows on the actual viewing of watching it, but I will tell you that being there live to see those tapings, the crowd were really into it and really enjoying what was being put on in front of us.
Yeah, but I think you know why. Because everyone was under the impression that Corgan was taking over.
No, everybody in that building was thinking that Vince McMahon was going to buy TNA, and I had to hear that over and over again throughout Bound for Glory week.
Wow. He doesn't need to do that. He makes up shows of his own to make it even more bloody stupid in his company, but we'll get to that. I mean, I'm just quickly trying to bump through Meltzer's thing from last week because there was an additional point in there about so basically TNA has been aware about the challenge deal basically going up for months,
right?
And they did have a meeting 2 months ago with Premier Sports, which is a pay sport channel in the UK. The great thing is Premier Sports ended up completely discouraged after looking into the situation, after seeing management's reactions to the Spike and Destination American deals going back and both stations cancelling the show, along with the fact that the viewership turns out for not just TNA in the UK, but also Raw. Raw this year alone, along with, to some extent, Challenge over the course of its 3-year run or whatever, has halved. The amount of people that watched Raw live in the UK on Sky last year was like the first week in January was about 120,000, just over. The one from last week, not this past month, the one on Halloween night got barely just over 60. If you're going on the average figures as it's going down, it's a decline. The same thing's happening with TNA. I think there's a lot less people watching that live, probably because it airs on a Sunday now, I think. Or if it airs on a Saturday, it's going up against other things that people may want to watch instead.
Right.
So that's why that's going down. Something also to note from Meltzer, there will be no sale of the tape library to WWE probably ever, because even if Anthem decides the company isn't financially viable and shuts it down, because they've got 85% of the company, they've got the tape library, so they can profit off it.
Yeah, of course.
Dixie, the thing is, Dixie is still. I think the Dixie as president thing, basically just a ceremonial thing, but the idea is that she is still somehow involved in some shape or form, even though financially she won't be anymore. So I guess that means she has to be the figurehead. Obviously, also this week, Dave Lagana, head writer, he's gone. It's widely believed as well. John Gaburick might be going.
Wouldn't shock me.
But in turn, that would mean, and this might be the only positive that comes from this situation, Josh Matthews might be gone. Because Matthews was a Gaburick booking.
And if Matthews goes, I would not be shocked if Madison Rayne doesn't go too.
Well, that's the interesting thing. If we're going by the latest bit of news, which was that there was a conference call with all the wrestlers,
right?
That Dixie and Jason Brown of Aerolux / Anthem. Oh no, sorry, Dean Broadhead. That's the name. No, that's the COO. The twist that comes from all this is Madison is now part of creative because of Lagana going. Her and a couple of other people that I can't think off the top of my head. But the one that stood out was her. So I'm guessing for her, she's probably doing stuff for the Knockouts division.
That's correct.
Which, I mean, geez. I'm waiting to see if there's any more of a mess coming through in the latest Meltzer bit, which may be coming at any point during the show tonight. But I mean, it's sort of weird that I still want TNA to exist because I want another platform out there for people to, show their skills off and everything. But at the same time, I just feel that this needs to be taken out back with a shotgun sooner rather than later before it could cause even more damage than it already has.
What about rebranding? Do you think that might be a solve of the problem?
Well, they sort of tried that with the Impact Wrestling thing. But in essence, it really hasn't changed it because people still associate it as being TNA.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because the thing is, you can't get rid of the TNA brand because of all the great stuff that TNA did, arguably before the Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff era. because arguably from there, that's when it started turning to some extent. Don't get me wrong, there were still some crap moments. Victory Road 2007, Victory Road 2009, infamously bad pay-per-views. But, 2007, you also got the feud with Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, which was really well done. So you can't take that out. But, I mean, rebranding would be a way, but then, of course, you're sort of disregarding the heritage that there already is.
I could see that.
Something I did notice as well, for quite a few months, they kept putting up on like Thursdays, I think, or when Impact was on Friday, when it was on when it was on Pop at the start of the year. They started putting up the old Asylum shows. It was really showing off a heck of a lot of the good stuff that they had.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then by episode 10, they started going up as you have to pay $2 to watch this. So even they realize we shouldn't be giving this away for free. We should be making money off it. And because of that, nobody gave a damn. And I think like within the next 2 shows, because nobody wanted to pay, because it was, archive stuff and whatever, which technically I don't even know if TNA has the rights to do a TNA at the time. It just died. And I don't know. I need to see what is coming in, if anything, on the new issue in the latest bit of the write-up and whatever. No, that's Ring of Honor. That's NXT. Oh, right. So the TNA talent did receive their checks this past week, but Billy Corgan was not paid the money he was due on the 1st. The Anthem CEO, Leonard Asper, the person who made the call to fund TNA takeover, had a meeting in their Toronto offices with all employees where the subject of TNA came up. The key to the meeting is that itself will be receiving new investment money to expand their own business. Expects to close the deal within 20 to 30, vitalizing the brand as well as building up Game TV, a company that Anthem bought in August. I'm guessing that must be esports based, possibly. I don't know. We're part of the overall expansion of Anthem. Technically, at this point, Dixie still owns 92.5% of the company, but if and when they get the Corgan thing settled, the ownership will be broken down as 85% Anthem, 10 Aerolux, and 5 Carter. And Carter is desperate for Gaborik to stay. Aerolux want him gone. Anthem may or may not. Dixie's the only one that wants. So, who knows? Also, people are wondering whether Bennett and Kanellis, Mike and Maria, are in trouble, considering they were good friends with Billy Corgan.
Maria said something about on Twitter a while back that she was leaving the wrestling business soon.
Who knows? It's bloody complicated. That's some of the latest stuff. And a heck of a lot of stuff as well in this. So we'll leave the news till later. But yeah, the TNA thing will go on. Hopefully it gets sorted sooner rather than later. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with the UK, because if they go to Premier Sports and they think it's going to get viewership, barely anybody watches the NASCAR on that channel, and that's the only channel that technically broadcasts it live over here. They need to, there's plenty of channels that can probably throw up a small bit of money that TNA would be desperate for to put it on their channel. There's plenty of channels that are available, like Challenge on Freeview, that'd be just like, somehow if they manage to get 50 grand together, I'm pretty sure TNA would just go, yeah, we'll do it. Just so it's got the eyes. Yeah, we still don't know about the India deal. Because technically, Sony 6 in India could just up and get out of their contract legally. Because there is going to be no Indian tour before the end of the year, which was promised to them. Because the one that happened last year didn't happen, I think, due to some terrorist issue or something. So who knows? Who the hell knows? This is a real life playing that music from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Hang on, I did that plenty of times in the video. I need to cue it up again.
Oh boy.
And it's a completely mad world in the world of WWE. That isn't working. Holy shit.
I like the beeping sound.
Yeah, well, that's not supposed to be there.
Beep, beep.
Beep, beep, beep. That's the alert. That's, bug it. We'll do it live.
We are.
Just like this show. It's because I pressed the volume button too soon. Right. TNA is like this. It's literally an episode of Lucha Underground now. It's that story will never go away.
No, it will not.
All right, so what are we going into now?
Well, you want to roll in? We can go ahead and take that on while we're at it. Let's talk a little Impact Wrestling, shall we?
So, this week, the problem with this one is I sort of covered it already in the previous video because I lost complete track of all the
Oh God!
Just to get the note I can for you. They're basically building up toward the main event is Lashley versus Edwards for the title.
Yes.
And at first, it's basically all about. It starts off actually with Brandy coming out, and then Maria comes out, and sort of continuing that story, and Sienna gets involved, and it basically becomes Maria and Sienna beating the shit out of Brandy, which isn't great because obviously Brandy is still pretty green in the wrestling shit. And of course, when all this was taped, husband was in the UK doing WCPW.
Correct.
So it made her look sort of worse.
The week
prior, there wasn't anybody to cover her ass.
Well, the week prior, they had Lashley attack Cody in the back, and we never saw that. So we heard about it during this promo, but that was the first time we heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Because I was here for this. I was here for all of these.
Exactly. And then we have, a very well put together video package throughout the night, various bits, with basically Eddie growing up, training at Killer Kowalski's school, and then how him and Davey came to TNA, and then he got injured. So don't bring up Ring of Honor. So then we start off with because apparently it's Bound for Gold month because every single fucking match is a title match.
Yes.
What was going on with that?
We were told that all the titles would be up for grabs, but we weren't really told why.
No, but they were up for grabs multiple times.
Yes.
Because the show after Bound for Glory, all the titles were on the line. The show after that, I think the only one technically on the line for that one was the women's title, because that was the Maria Gail Kim.
Yep.
With Maria losing, so she lost control of the Knockouts division.
Yeah, the hardcore match.
But then last week, all the titles were on the line, bar the women's one. And then again, all three of the men's titles for this past week, starting off with Rex and Goddard, were on the line again. So the best we can do is just keep doing title matches. This isn't a WWE UK Tour house show where you just have to please the local audiences. More often than not, like Owen can attest to, it's the same audience going to every single show.
Oh my god! Yeah. Well, okay. I'll give you a little peek. I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. So they told us when we went to one of the shows that if you go to another show and you have your tickets from that previous show, they'll put you in the pit, which basically is ringside.
Christ.
And if you brought those tickets every single night of tapings, you could be in the pit every single night.
Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus. I didn't realize it was that bad.
At least we weren't called like cast members or anything. That was, I remember.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Oh, we'll get to something of that caliber in a few hours. I don't know how long it'll take. So yeah, Rex Goddard's it's an okay match, but the fact is, Aaron Rex, this guy that was, perfectly aligned due to Drew Galloway being injured somewhere, now all of a sudden has to become heel, totally negating his debut.
Yeah, I mean, I will say right now, I saw Aaron Rex a billion times, it felt like. And I enjoyed his stuff. It was solid every single night of tapings. But it was one of those things that it kind of was like, okay, we saw this last night. We saw this earlier tonight because they're taping one night only stuff too. And Explosion taping. So it's like, okay, fine. Well, the person that really, like, throughout the entire run of tapings, I told you this, and I'm going to say this to the crowd right now. One person that really went up in my mind when it came to value for the company is Jesse Goddard. He's super over, and he put on some really solid matches. The match he has against Lashley, which I believe is coming up in a couple weeks, really stellar match. And I've always been down on Jesse Goddard, but he won me over this time around, for sure.
Yeah, but it's still... I just think that the character that he's had to evolve into with the circumstances just negates everything that was done for him.
I completely agree with you on that.
He's back to being a who cares about him like he was in WWE. Well, no, because people actually cared about him in WWE, but he just wasn't getting over in the right way that Vince liked. Now he isn't getting over because nobody gives a shit about him, other than the diehards who look beyond the storylines, and he's in a worse position than he was. Hell, he was champion for a couple of months in Destiny and dropped the title this past weekend to Psycho Mike Rollins. Which means I don't have to bring that up in terms of results.
Sweet. Rollins is getting a title. That's awesome.
Well, it's Destiny Wrestling, so I wouldn't say it's up there, considering that's been on Ricochet and Rey Mysterio and whoever the hell is in there, whoever the hell they can book for the right money.
Well, he's another Osho alum, so I'm always happy to see him doing well.
But the weird thing is, he's actually, somebody from Canada's actually got their belt now.
Not normal. Not normal at all.
We get this. We get it's not even a 6-man. It's a 9-man trio triple threat.
This was, yeah. Oh my god.
Because guess what happened the last 3 weeks of tapings? You had DJZ, Sutter, and Mandrews versus Spud and
Decay.
Who were the other two?
It was Decay.
No, but it was two other people that weren't Decay.
Oh,
the
god,
1 week, wasn't it?
Hold on. I can look into it.
I'm trying to think of the other jobbers in the X division and whatever.
Hold on. I got this.
I know we had Marche, Rocket, and Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee, but that's because
Right.
that was the Norcar connection.
I may have your answer in a second. Give me a moment.
I don't think it was. Was it the Tribunal?
That sounds like it's possible. Come on.
I know it was Rockstar Spud and somebody.
I'm looking through my pictures.
Over the past 3 weeks, those 3 teams, minus Spud and Decay, but it was Spud and 2 other people, basically faced each other once.
Mm-hmm.
As if it was like a bloody group game from the World Cup soccer. Everybody has to play each other once. And then at the end of it, they decided to just have, as I say, now, part of me is wondering, the only reason we're doing trios matches is because of Japan and Ring of Honor. Because you can't say it's Shikara, because Shikara's been doing it for years.
Right.
It's only because New Japan started doing it and making it into a title, which then spurred Ring of Honor on into doing it, which all of a sudden, to free up the X division, because that's the thing. All these people could be in X division title matches every show, but instead it's 6-mans. It's just
Team X Gold.
And then on top of that, the referee decided to throw Decay out. So for the match finish, it was 3-on-3-on-1. So, this booking again. I mean, we can blame Dave because he actually he fucking quit. Not for these reasons, but we could use it as a reason.
We'll go with that for sake of argument.
So then we have the Hardys taking on the DCC, which stands for Don't Care About This Crap.
Oh, God.
Because after last week's Halloween shit with it and the green beans and Trump and Clinton and Hurricane and a kid coming dressed as a pack of donuts and Matt going, "Be careful you don't eat too many because they'll call you Fat Hardy." It's like, God damn it. I shouldn't be liking this, but it's fucking awesome.
Oh my God. You have not seen I've been to WWE. I've been to WCW. I've been to the real ECW. I've been to all these television tapings and pay-per-views. I have not seen a crowd react the level of Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero. It's unbelievable how over they are. Seriously.
Yep.
And it's great. And every single time, like, I think next week you get the Hardys against Decay in a Cage. And that match was real fun. So,
yeah. But yeah, this DCC thing just turns into a brawl and it's a no contest. Which negates all the push that fuck it, Eddie Kingston, Bram, and James Storm are getting. Why the hell these cunts agreed to this shit?
well, I mean,
this DCC gimmick didn't work in Ring of Honor.
right.
It didn't work in TNA the first time with Aces and Eights because it's some sort of variant on that. I don't know. The thing is, though, it sort of gets saved by the shit that happens afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because Grado's doing an interview backstage as the brawl comes in. Grado gets a selfie with bloody Brother Nero. And then Nero gets low blowed. He goes, not again. So then Matt splashes Brother Nero with the lake of refreshment water that still remains. And Brother Nero turns into corporate champion Jeff Hardy. Matt gets a forklift and runs somebody over. Jeff gets put in a crate. And then regular, corporate champion somehow in the crate turns into Brother Nero again. And then Matt gets thrown off the top of a forklift.
And most of this was taking place outside Soundstage 19 as well.
Yeah. And then, of course, Nero's there going, are you okay, Matt? And Matt goes, of course. Who are you? That's the one thing that saves the shit.
I just love this stuff. It's so great. And it gets better every time.
Then we get an endless promo between EC3 and Eli Drake.
Yeah.
As if we're supposed to care about this angle. The only good bit from Drake is when he said EC3 might as well just be called Ethan Mid Carter III.
Yeah, that got a nice laugh.
Because he isn't good enough. That was it. That was probably the only thing in that saved it. And then we actually had the Edwards Lashley match itself, which I did like the fact that because of the shenanigans and all the shit, whoever the first referee was in the thing, once Eddie got a cover, he just went 1, 2, 3. He just fast counted Lashley, like, get out of my fucking face. I'm fast counting you. It's like.
Really solid match between the two. What was your reaction, Ashley, when Eddie Edwards won the title?
It was mixed. Because obviously I heard it when it happened from the tapings, and I was like,
sorry.
Why the shit didn't you try and do that on the pay-per-view?
I remember
some
posting
people
that
have been watching.
Yeah. Well, like I said, pay-per-views don't matter.
I'm pretty sure
anymore.
wasn't this the same night that Sasha won the title back? at the Staples Center.
I believe so.
So it was going to get overshadowed anyway.
It was still a great moment, though, honestly.
It was, but it was the conflicting thing of that's, you know, you clearly doing it to try and make people watch when it airs.
Right.
On Thursday. But the thing is, nobody did. To a great extent, especially because the rematch that happened, you know, the cage match between Decay and Hardy's,
yeah,
never fucking aired on Pop.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
The satellite feed or whatever the, you know, DVD was running off for that section just fucking broke. And it never aired, so much so that they had to put it on Pop TV and or Impact Wrestling's YouTube channel to make up for the fact that it screwed up.
Oh, that's horrible.
And remember, that was within the week. All the shit was hitting the fan in terms of TNA. It was even more of a sign of what the hell was going on. Oh. You know, that was allegedly TNA.
Which I'm guessing that's the second time you've talked about this.
I sort of talked about it. You know, I went through like slightly more in detail, but you know, I also covered other stuff that happened in Impact, which wasn't a lot. The best bit was how they kept bringing up Billy Corgan and he never showed up. But then the one time that he fucking did was when the court case had gone through and they established that he had no case to answer and he was going to be out of the company. That same day, Ali's talking to Billy Corgan in an empty arena saying, "Oh, I need to be prepared for my match." Get me started on that fucking bullshit. Oh, Ali's never wrestled before. Fuck off.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy with
Laurel
that.
Van Ness is an experienced wrestler. Double fuck off.
Yeah. I see that.
Oh. And other assorted noises.
Okay. So we go from Impact and we're going to move right along and we're going to move on to SmackDown.
I can talk about this. I won't do it in a Glasgow accent. Could, but I won't. Because otherwise, you know, Scottish people will murder me. You know, AJ comes out to open, basically says, you know, they're trying to focus on the whole SmackDown versus Raw thing. You know, he can't believe that Ambrose has got a shot at his title. You know, he doesn't belong in the same ring as him, but he'll deal with it when he needs to deal with it. Spoilers! Roadblock! I think that's what it is, isn't it? Can't remember.
I think so, actually.
Is Roadblock the one in December, or is it the one in February? Or I don't. Ah.
It's the one we're not covering, so yeah.
So Corbin comes out. Then the Wyatts come out. And then Dean Ambrose comes out with James Ellsworth, who probably got the loudest pop of the entire weekend. Which says everything.
That's interesting.
I do like the fact, though, that don't be a bully, be a star. Oh, wait. James Ellsworth, filmed by everybody, no chin music. You fucking hypocritical cunts. Anyway, it builds into a 6-man tag. Yeah, this shit's happening again. Bray, Lou, and Orton versus Ambrose. Except Corbin is the match, apparently. So instead, I guess it becomes a tag match from what I remember. Or did somebody else? Either way, instead, Corbin's taking on Kalisto. No, God, damn it! We get Breezango versus the Vaudevillains,
Yes.
which is like, why the fuck is this match happening? And then I need to still get a final team, and I'm going. I never thought I'd say this, but please, Breezango, please. And then, holy shit, they actually won.
Yeah. Fandango
Fuck
did
you
the
for
deal.
getting in a fight with Sin Cara, Vaudevillains. Sorry, Aiden English, you're getting fucked over, aren't you?
I don't know. At this point, Sin Cara I guess he's got some anger management issues, so he is trying to get some counseling for that.
Who knows? And then, of course, next week, because they publicize it just after this, it's the 900th episode of SmackDown. So they already confirmed that Undertaker's going to be back, which to me says start building for WrestleMania if he's up to it.
Yep.
Because it makes perfect sense. And if it's Orton, or if it's Wyatt, fuck off. Or if it's Harper, I'm willing to let it slide. Because then we could just have Harper beat Mick Foley and we'll just do another Hell in a Cell match. Except when Harper falls off the cell, we'll believe it. Isn't that right, Shane? We'll get to that shit.
Oh, God, I heard about that.
But on top of that, next week also sees the return for one night only of the Cutting Edge. So next week's 2-hour show is going to be full of people that aren't normally on. For a go-home show before a SmackDown versus Raw pay-per-view. Allegedly. Fuck.
Oh, God, I need to request that off. Thanks for reminding me.
Make sure you request the night before first. And if you can't get Survivor Series, fuck it. NXT's a much more interesting show at the minute than... Anyway. Naomi beats Natalya. Don't know why the fuck that happened. And yeah, Kane then gets dragged into the whole Ellsworth and Ambrose thing. So then we get Corbin and Kalisto, which starts before the bell's even rung. But then Corbin manages to slip on the apron, allegedly. So Kalisto just does what Baron Corbin would have done and fucking injures him further. So Baron Corbin now cannot compete at Survivor Series. Fuck yes!
Life is good.
Then we get Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, which isn't too bad a match, but it just felt like, yeah, Alexa Bliss is not on the same level as Becky. Although, unlike Dana, Alexa did manage to get her foot on the ropes.
I also think Alexa is the best heel that WWE has in the women's division.
I'd say from her current performance, Nia Jax is probably better than her.
Okay, on SmackDown, she's the best.
Oh. Yeah, because Carmella with the whole, you're only here because you're married to John Cena, and everyone's like, is this supposed to be shocking, or are we supposed to give a shit?
I'll take duh for 1,000, Alex.
Potables.
Exactly.
So Daniel Bryan also makes an intercontinental match with Miz and Ziggler for next week as well. So the best bit about that is, if Miz wins, what the shit happens with Survivor Series? And then they also announced that the Kalisto is going to be in a cruiserweight title match with Kendrick. And if Kalisto wins, the title comes to SmackDown. Which I'm sort of thinking is happening anyway because of the whole 205 shit.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, Kalisto's going to be on Raw. Because he easily could be.
Yeah.
Because nobody gives a fuck about the cruiserweight division now. Especially with the news that came through last week that we're now getting 205 live. Which, as I mocked in the last podcast, sounds just like a radio station that Scott the Trucker would be listening to.
Indeed.
Meaning you've got more wrestling to fucking watch every week. And think about it. I mean, thankfully, it's not the week of Survivor Series. But if it was, which it would be, I guess, for the Royal Rumble.
Oh, God.
For that weekend, you'd have 2-something hours of NXT TakeOver.
Right.
Followed by 4 to 5 hours of the Royal Rumble. Followed by 2 hours of SmackDown, 1 hour of Live 205, and then Talking Smack. Followed by NXT.
Oh, my God. It's too much.
Tapings. Half a day's worth of coverage, at least. Just in one weekend.
What is this?
And Kurt Hawkins got his first win against Apollo Crews.
How the mighty have fallen.
Which nobody gave a shit about because it's not Brian Myers, because I had respect for him. If I knew he was going back and going to be dragged into this shit to bring up a guy who nobody gives a fuck about because they mistreated his push in Apollo Crews, it's not going to work.
He needs to go back to NXT.
He needs to. No, Crews. If you gave Crews the right storyline, it would work. Kurt Hawkins needs to go back to the Indies to nurture the talent that's going to go up to the A, not the ones that are already in it. But whatever.
Why not put him on NXT?
It's not I wouldn't object to it, considering how many cruiserweights are already on NXT as it is.
Or, I don't know. How about we have Mojo go heel and we get the return of the Edgeheads back together again. Bring the Major Brothers back together.
Who knows? And then we get the Wyatt Ortons, or whatever the hell we call them, beating Ellsworth, Kane, and Ambrose after Ellsworth got Sister Abigail'd. And then Daniel and Shane come out. And Daniel was like, we need a fifth person on this list. You know, my name's at the top of the list, but everyone knows, I can't compete. And everyone's going, yeah, fuck you, Joseph Maroon. And then, of course, there's another name at the top of the list, and everyone's got, no, please, no. Even Baron Corbin is a better idea than this shit. The fifth member of Team SmackDown is now Shane McMahon. Are we doing this to try and make people care about the fucking storyline between the feud between Raw and SmackDown? Because if they are, I can't even get the Filthy Frank clip because I need the notes for what I'm doing. But nobody gives a shit.
There we go.
Part of me wondered whether they did that on purpose, because of course viewership last night was absolutely shit because it was going head to head with the US election.
This is true.
And on related news to that, Rhino lost.
Yeah.
Probably because he wasn't there to attend if he had one. And in case you want, because I might as well cover it here, for the Raw and SmackDown Superstar and main event tapings. On Superstars, we had Neville beat Titus O'Neil, who gives a fuck, and Bo Dallas beat Darren Young, who gives main event, we had Jason Jordan beat Victor, who gives a fuck, and the Usos beat the Hype Brothers, who actually gives a fuck. All this must-see programming. Bullshit.
It is nice seeing, when I'm looking at news and everything, that they're going to cut back the pay-per-views next year.
Are they actually need months for Raw and SmackDown then?
I just read the headline and it intrigued me.
They're giving up on the 19 pay-per-views a year.
Oversaturation of the market is a bad thing.
Because something that I worked out because of the last month when they were saying, if you buy it before Hell in a Cell, you get Survivor Series free as well in your month. Something I realized because of the whole 30-day free trial, if you opt in like the weekend of NXT TakeOver Toronto and Survivor Series in Toronto, you get those two free for your month, and TLC and Roadblock. So you get 4 pay-per-view quality shows for nothing. Then you just get another email address and set up another 3 months so you can watch the Royal Rumble. Because apparently, shock horror, that's what people are doing. They're getting multiple email accounts just to get the network free for 30 days, cancelling, then setting up another account with a different email address.
Well, nothing I can say.
I love the fact that WWE didn't see that coming. Because to me, that I thought there was going to be a loophole that people were going to use. You know, they do that with Netflix. They do that with various other subscription services.
Right.
If free stuff is involved, the plonkers. Anyway, what's next on the docket that I've got to cover?
Up next, we've got, let's see where we're going. UFC.
Oh, all that news. Right, so this is where I might as do the roundup of the stuff that I've missed, which thankfully isn't really a huge amount because the first little bit, if I can find it in the right place, the show that happened last month, was supposed to happen between, if it was the show in Macau. Yeah, the last one that they had was the one in Brazil, Cyborg versus Landsberg. The 24th. Yes, it's been. Cyborg won against Landsberg, looking around TKO. Although interestingly, because it was catch weight, because what a surprise, Cyborg didn't want to cut weight. It didn't actually get the additional money. The bonuses for that night, where the fight of the night went to Eric Silva versus, which was actually on the preliminary card, with a. And then before Eric Spicely, who got a rear naked choke submission first round on the main card, and then also Vicente Luque, who got a 1 minute punch knockout on Hector Urbina on the Fight Pass preliminary card. So he was on like the extra. He was on like the third tier of the card, and he got $50,000.
Wow.
Which is actually one of the nice touches of the show. They never discriminate. You know, if you do a damn good performance, you get the $50,000.
It's pretty cool.
So then I think actually there was one the week after, because it was that problem of there was shows every bloody week
Yes.
happening there. I think it was Lineker versus Dodson, which Lineker won via split decision. Although interestingly, the second fight down on that card, Alex Oliveira beating Will Brooks. Will Brooks got so beaten the shit out of that he got suspended indefinitely because and also he broke
And Ashley is having some technical issues. We'll continue our UFC talk momentarily.
Yeah, I lost the fucking internet on my thing, so we'll do it this way for the next few minutes while I try and get that fucking fixed again. So it was a different Oliveira in this case. And it was Ricardo Lamas beating Charles Oliveira, which was pitched. Charles Oliveira, I think, came in relatively last minute.
Okay.
Like a few weeks notice. So the fight became a catch weight fight at 155. You know that they did that basically so Oliveira, Charles in this case, will be able to drop weight. Except he weighed in at 164. 9 pounds overweight.
Wow.
And the great thing is, because he was so overweight, UFC basically told him, do as best as you can to get back to that weight. And you know what that meant? He dehydrated the fuck out of himself. Which is what UFC were trying to stop happening. Which means that he basically got killed the fuck out of, practically. Not in a good way. I mean, I honestly don't know why that happened, that situation. It shouldn't have, in all honesty. But in regard to that, in terms of the two major things on that show, as I can hear myself, so then I can get off here. I can get back on here.
Oh boy.
Thanks, internet. The finale for the actual tournament. The winner was Martin Bravo beating Claudio Puelles with a second round punches TKO. And then the main event saw Tony Ferguson beat Rafael dos Anjos. Unanimous decision, 3 rounds to 2, because all 3 judges gave it 48-47. One thing to note, though, is afterwards, Tony Ferguson, after winning, did a promo that said, I'm exhausted. I'm out of here. Thank you, Mexico. Exactly all he said. This is a guy that is in contention for a title shot now with that win. Except from that response, I don't think he will be, considering what's coming up this weekend, because this weekend is the biggie. UFC 205. Yeah, take 202, take 200, take 100, put them together, and you've got 205. This is that big. It's going to be because UFC's finally in Madison Square Garden after 20 years of trying. And the fact of the matter is, every single fight on this card could be a main event. Perhaps not of a pay-per-view, but at least of a fight night. This is such a strong card. I mean, it's the most ridiculous card that I've actually. I mean, I've only been following it for a few years or whatever, but there's like at least recognizable names in every single match, which is sort of ridiculous. One thing to note, though, there was supposed to be a middleweight bout between Rashad Evans and Tim Kennedy in the lightweight division. Rashad Evans being former UFC light heavyweight champ. But yesterday, Tuesday, November 8th, Evans got pulled after an found during his fight. So that, because is that fight's been. So the way it's structured, your Fight Pass card is Jim Miller versus Thiago Alves in the lightweight division, and the women's bantamweight match has Liz Caramouche taking on Caitlin Chukagian. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm probably screwing it up. Then on the Fox Sports 1 card, you've got Vicente Luque versus Belal Muhammad in the welterweight division. Rafael Natal versus Tim Botch in the middleweights. Khabib Nurmagomedov on Michael Johnson in the lightweight division. Frankie Edgar taking on Jeremy Stevens in the featherweight. Yeah, Frankie Edgar, who'd normally be on a main card, is having to get pushed onto the prelim card. That's how stacked.
Wow.
The Khabib guy is the one worth noting because he's known to be a pretty good promo guy, and he's another person that is in contention for being, a title person. And the thing is, it very much affects the main event. But we'll get to that because the main card itself is stacked. It's going to start with Miesha Tate, her first match, I think, since her title loss. No, I think she did actually fight before, off the top of my head, I think. Taking on Raquel Pennington. That's one that could easily decide who could be the next contender for whoever is the women's bantamweight champion by the end of the year. Because we'll get to that in a minute, because that's a big one in itself. In the welterweight division, we've got Kevin Gastelum taking on the Cowboy Donald Cerrone. Probably could in some respects be a title or a title contendership match, certainly, depending who wins it. Then we've got Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero in an eliminator match for the UFC middleweight championship title. So that is definitively whoever wins gets the next shot at the belt sort of thing in a few months. And then 3 title matches. Joanna Jędrzejczyk defending the strawweight title against Karolina Kowalczyk. So I think it's the Battle of the Poles, which, considering how they've been fighting the last few matches that they've both had, could be a slobber knocker. I'm guessing because it's an actual title match, that could go 5 rounds. In which case, they're doing 6 matches on the main card. I don't know whether they're going to have to move any of this about, because otherwise this could be a mess. The pay-per-view could be going 5 hours. It could be like a WrestleMania. We've got the welterweight title on the line with Tyrone Woodley defending against Stephen Thompson. And then the big one that probably made the venue sell out as quick as it did. Eddie Alvarez defending the lightweight title against Conor McGregor. The theory being, obviously, if Conor McGregor wins, he's champion in 2 weight divisions, which is history in itself. But then if Conor decides to stay in the lightweight division and not be in the middleweight title situation that he's been in for the last year or so, McGregor gets pretty much to have a say on who he wants to fight. And if you had the choice of the guy that went, "I'm knackered, Mexico, I love you," or a guy who could do a shit ton of smack talking like it's known that Khabib Nurmagomedov can do, and especially considering Khabib's on the same card as Conor, it could get interesting, shall we say. So yeah, that's all coming up. And then they also announced in the past few weeks that Ronda Rousey will be making her return to UFC after her self-imposed exile of more than a year. Because I think the last time she was in was the fight where she lost the belt to Holly Holm. She gets straight into the title hunt immediately, taking on Amanda Nunes. So it could be the fact that the last 13 months of UFC Women's Bantamweight Championships may not have happened because the fact is, ever since Ronda lost the belt, nobody's defended the belt. Every time somebody got put in a match, they lost it at the very next fight. You know, Holm dropped it to Tate, and Tate dropped it to Nunes, and now Nunes takes on Rowdy, which is going to be Friday, December 30th. It's your closer. They've also announced that Dominic Cruz will be defending his bantamweight title on that show against Cody Garbrandt. And then also Verdum versus Velasquez in somewhat of a UFC title, a heavyweight title eliminator, is also set for that show. You know, and that's looking a pretty stacked card, but they normally always are on that. Also, the last Fox one of the year, the free-to-air show, will be having Dancing with the Stars star Paige Van Zant main eventing with Sage Northcutt versus Mickey Gall. Yeah, the Slayer of Punk will be on that show on Fox, as will be Uriah Faber in his backyard of Sacramento, California, in his last ever match before he retires. So, and I've heard rumors that 2017 could get even more crazy just because the new people that put the $4 billion or whatever in to invest want returns pronto. There are a lot of rumors circulating that a lot of people, even Brock Lesnar, might be at that show in December to hype up, because I think it'll be around that week and whatever at the end of the year that they'll start announcing the card for the first part of 2017. And reportedly WME and IMG and all the group that took over UFC and hard, just like Braun Strowman imagines he would be. Whee!
Oh, before we go any
That's the UFC
further,
roundup.
well, I got one more question about MMA for you, Ashley. It ties into wrestling as well. I'm sure you're aware of what happened with David Cash.
Yeah, kid was back for the first time in quite a few years inside an MMA ring. And I don't want to say failed miserably, but it didn't go well.
He lost in 39 seconds. That's failed miserably.
Yeah. I wanted to be nice.
It's not his fault. I mean, it's just he got overpowered.
Yeah. I think if you had Aldo versus McGregor again, it wouldn't be over in 14 seconds. It's just the luck happened, and that's why it finished so quick. I don't think the same would happen with Cash.
No.
But at the age and the form that he's in, I wouldn't say I want to see it again.
No. But I mean, there's some people that were wanting to see Punk against Cash now.
Considering the form that they were both in and how UFC is desperate, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to stick it on a fight night show on Fox Sports.
That's a good idea, actually.
Keep in mind as well, I think Royal Rumble runs against Oh no! I'm taking it back. NXT Takeover runs against a big UFC show next weekend, the 19th. Not as big as the pay-per-view, but still one that will be getting a lot of people's attention. On top of there's some other big event happening that weekend as well in either boxing or wrestling or MMA. I think it's actually a Strikeforce show. Strikeforce is having a show the same night as UFC and NXT. So Meltzer's fucked.
Pretty much.
Me? Yeah, screw Bellator. And to some extent, screw UFC, because via my BT stuff, I think the Fight Night stuff I can actually catch on archive. Possibly even the UFC pay-per-view shows, because that's the deal that they have over here. So
makes sense.
But I'll probably watch it this weekend because I've got nothing better to do. Anywho, that's the UFC roundup.
All right. I think we are moving to Lucha Underground now.
Oh, Ready for War, as it was entitled, as the graphics kept telling me on the screen. Basically, the stuff that they just sum up for the previously angle is the feud between Famous B and Mascarita Sagrada, and Prince Puma and Mil Muertes, and Puma challenging Mil to a Graver Consequences match because he's basically been goaded into it by Vampiro, who now, because I know what happens at the end of it, through certain lines that were said tonight, I've already figured out the season finale in 20-something weeks' time.
That's a good sign.
It all makes sense. So Katrina's preparing Mil Muertes and basically wants him dead. And then we go into the Believers Backlash match. Basically, it's an ODQ. All weapons are legal. Mascarita Sagrada versus Famous B. This was a heck of an entertaining match, just because of what was used. It was pretty tough and everything as well. But we had popcorn bags, I think, trash can lids, football helmets, mini step ladders, so Sagrada could put it on the announce table and do a giant dive off the mini ladder off the announce table. Bloody Famous B managed to somehow purloin Rick Martel's arrogant spray bottle thing. You missed out on this, Owen.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
This is, we had wizard hats. The magic one that turned Brenda beautiful was used on a bag, and out of the bag came a bowling ball, and Famous B got testicled with the bowling ball. The almighty 7-10 split, as Matt Stryker put it. Which, the best thing about this is, and I don't know why they did it, probably because they're inspired by the Hardys, they added a pins being knocked down sound to when the ball hit Famous B's test. Then there was this nice picture of him and his, I guess, car, selling car sales floor and whatever, that you saw him do his first, 423 Get Fame ads from. And at this point, Dr. Wagner came in to try and help out and went to use the picture on Sagrada. And Famous B went, no! I like that picture. And he just took it and looked at it and cared for it as Wagner beat the shit out of Sagrada. Son of Havoc then came in to make the save and took out Wagner, and they fought away to the back. Sagrada then managed to get said pitcher and smack it over his famous Bee's head. Then he grabbed him by the tie and was trying to choke him. But then Brenda, who apparently grabbed some giant pair of scissors from Melissa. I'm talking like Pee Wee Herman sort of like crazy size scissors. Sliced through the tie, which didn't help. Or it did because it freed him, but then Sagrada did a suicida dive out onto famous B. Then Sagrada managed to get a pie and managed to pie Brenda by accident. Then he asked Matt Striker for his shoe. Used it in a DDT combination and gets the pinfall when Mascarita Sagrada wins. And it's not even over because afterwards, Son of Havoc comes out to celebrate with a cardboard cutout of famous B with 423 Get Fame all over it. And Havoc gives Sagrada the giant scissors. And Sagrada beheads the cardboard cutout. And then, hidden behind his back, Son of Havoc pulls out a jacket, officially meaning he's part of the gang. So he's been initiated in. And that was the end of that segment.
Wow.
that was hardcore and a crazy. This is actually entertaining. It's a Hardy sort of thing. It's like this shouldn't be good, but actually they had some because the way they did the spots, it was actually pretty interesting. So then we had Dante Fox. Yeah, that's the name they're giving him. Yeah, I wonder who that is. I wonder. And Killshot facing off. And Killshot's like, oh, Dario gave you a contract then. And then Dante's like, don't worry, we stand united tonight, just like we did back in the day, brother. And during this time, as they're hugging each other, he just gives him the sort of Killshot gives him the look of like you're planning something. Apparently, he doesn't see it coming because he gets fucked over. Then we get Drago training backstage, but then Cobra Moon taunts him because we're apparently, and this is what happened last week, which I covered in the video, which will be up soon. Drago is 1,000 years old and is one of the many tribes that tried to claim, the title and whatever to, be king of the luchas and whatever. But she taunts him by basically saying "Pinda." It's all in Mexican Spanish or whatever, and just goes, "Pindar lives, Pindar." What you say, Pindar? Yeah. I'm not part of your tribe. I was just a slave to your tribe. It don't matter. We want the glory, so we can have so I can become the Cobra Queen again. And then some fat fuck walks in in a white vest and white Y-fronts and just goes, I'm just going to go somewhere else to do my business. And they actually do fart noises.
Oh my God, why?
During this very serious promo. I don't know. I just put down in my notes, fat fuck, what the fuck? So then we get 5-on-5, determining people for the Aztec Warfare match next week. It's the Mac, Mariposa, Mighty the Moth Martinez, Ivelisse, and Jeremiah. Yep. Sami Callihan's actually wrestling this week. Taking on Killshot, Argenis, Dante Fox, Tecano, and Cage. Which was a pretty good multi-person match. Ivelisse got hurt. Jeremiah apparently didn't give a shit. So that relationship's very well. And then Dante Fox turns on Killshot and just finishes him off, which just allows Marty to do his dive off the top rope onto Killshot and get the win for them. So Mac, Mariposa, Jeremiah, Ivelisse, although I'm wondering whether she's in because of her injury, and Marty the Moth Martinez qualify for next week's Aztec Warfare, which we already know will have Matanza as number 1 for some reason, and Drago as number 20. And we then get a bit with Dario pep talking Matanza, saying, I think you're up to the challenge. Number 1, you can destroy everybody. You need to do what Mama taught us. And remember that was? And then, holy shit, Matanza speaks for the first time and just goes, oh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Was he Shang Tsung?
No, he's Jeff Cobb. Oh, yeah. Shit.
How many times have we mentioned that
spoilers.
On there? Come
on. So the main event, Grave Consequences. Yep, somebody's going to die. Mil Muertes versus Prince Puma. Mil Muertes makes his entrance, gets the shit beaten out of by Puma, who then does a crazy bloody dive, onto him from, the steps, which you know how shit those steps are if you've seen Lucha Underground. How the hell he did that, I don't know. But this was hardcore heavy, spots aplenty. One of the big moments was Mil on the apron, top rope choke slamming Puma through a couple of set of tables that were put on the outside. And culminating in Mil managing to not give a shit about the casket that they had, and instead brought out the casket that Conan died in.
Oh, wow.
Which seemed to be fate, because Puma got put in that case, so he's dead. Spoilers, he's in the finale of season 3, so how the hell he comes back, who the hell knows? I guess we find out in the next 20 plus weeks. Probably. But the one thing that happened in this match was, as hinted at in all the promos of the last few weeks, Vampiro was saying, it's great to see this dark side. He doesn't care about the match. He just wants to hurt his opponent. And then Matt went, yeah, but, you'd have thought he'd want this out of the way so he can focus on the Lucha Underground title. And Vampiro goes, why should he focus on that? Considering what happens at the end of this season, that's very interesting when you think in terms of the storyline that's been going through the entire series run. From series 1 through to now. It makes perfect sense what's being done. You're all blind to it. Probably in a good way. Maybe not. Who knows? That was Lucha Underground. They didn't have any post-credit sequence, I believe.
Okay.
I should probably check if they did, because if they did, it's like, well, let me go to my thing. Yeah, I need to know how to spell. Yeah, you spell UM. If I bring that up, and hopefully I bring that up, I can see if I did miss anything quickly. I don't think I did, in terms of where my feed got cut off. Yeah, just the painted individuals came out and walked out with the coffin as they normally do. That was the end. Overall, pretty interesting show, bar the fat fuck. And no, this time I actually don't mean Marty the Muff Martinez.
Well, on that note, let's move on to What Culture Pro Wrestling.
Right, so this is going to be a brief synopsis of the last few weeks. Luckily, it hasn't been every week because straight after the pay-per-view, they once again, like the last time they had one of their big live shows, they delayed the show. You know, they didn't put it up that very first week, so if I get past Meltzer's news, I might be able to make it there. So it's October 15th was the first one back. Heel Pacitti in a video announcing the Adam Pacitti Tag Title Tournament, or the AP Triple T as it's being known. And introduces that. Then we have Los Perspectiva beating Johnny Moss and Liam Slater and Prince Amin and Gabriel Kidd, after Los Perspectiva stole a pin from Amin on from Slater. One thing to worth noting, though, because it's the team of Amin and Kidd, Prince Amin's got a new shirt that says he's the Fresh Prince.
Oh my god.
Oh shit, I might actually like something about his character. Then they show the Bret Hart and Prospect clip that aired before the pay-per-view started for people that watched it on what's it called? Fight app? Yeah, Fight TV. Because everybody on What Culture couldn't see a fucking thing. I should know. I was the idiot that paid a lot of money for it. Then we had Joe Coffey and mixed emotions over his Minoru Suzuki match, saying that he needed to focus. Then Primate destroyed the Academy, which was just 4 jobbers. Then we had a bit with Prospects saying a video thing saying that they were allowed back in WCPW thanks to Pacitti.
Shock surprise.
And then El Draco from Los Perspectiva comes in to meet up with the other guys. And it's like, you know, both these guys are in the tag tournament. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to... Oh, my phone's gone off. Oh, no. The first round is Prospect versus Los Perspectiva.
I'm telling you, we've said this. I said this before. I said that What Culture is booked like a traditional Southern wrestling promotion, and they're doing the Midnight Express angle.
Well, you'll see what. Don't worry, you'll be able to see where it goes already. Them they air because it's the internet title. They air the El Ligero beating Alberto and Travis Banks from the pay-per-view.
Mm.
And then Big Damo walks into Adam's office.
Oh boy.
He wants another chance. And Pacitti says, close the door. Stuff is said that we can't hear. There's a shake of hands. And Pacitti looks like he's just come. So moving second, Pacitti comes out to the Newcastle crowd and addresses, the issue that they had.
Right.
WCPW is his show, and he controls it all. We're not doing any sort of gimmick like, Martin Kirby as a B+ player, or what I did was best for business. But in essence, you are, which makes me a bit disappointed in Blompier's writing, to be quite honest. Because I think in this era that we're in right now, we're sick of people being in charge of companies as heels.
Yes, very much so.
Just because Pacitti wants to be a heel doesn't mean you should do it.
That's a good point.
So, he says, okay, I'm going to allow you to boo me for 10 seconds. And then, you can cheer me. Then he throws out a 2XL t-shirt because he knows how fat the fans are. And the thing that I think backfired in that, because I didn't see it properly because I had to quickly skip through it, I don't know whether the t-shirt got thrown back. So I'm wondering whether somebody just went, fuck it, it's a free t-shirt.
Exactly.
And then he just said, okay, you'll cheer the catchphrase, won't you? Then Kirby's music hits, and Pacitti just does a runner. Like he's from a fucking Benny Hill cartoon. It's like, ugh.
Oh, God.
And Kirby's like, I wouldn't be, if you hadn't got involved, Parmesan, I'd be champion right now. And then Big Damo beats the shit out of him and issues an open challenge to the locker room. And out comes Joe Coffey.
Ooh.
So the ICW title match happens again.
Nice.
And thanks to Martin, without the referee seeing, Coffey beats Big Damo. I don't know whether that is Big Damo's last match in the company.
I was getting ready to ask if it was.
It must have been because of the whole deal. We had Tyler Bate beat Liam Slater with a very impressive arch bridging pinfall. These two had a fucking epic match. Then we had Prospect beat Los Perspectiva because it started off as is it Grayson Archer?
Yeah.
It started off with them taking on El Draco. But then apparently Grace got some cramp and had to head to the back.
Jeez.
But just as El Draco was looking as it was looking bad, Los Gracie showed up to make the save.
Oh my God.
But then El Draco got taken out and fell to the ring apron. And then from out of nowhere, from underneath the Archer to pin Gracie. So Prospect win. And by the way, that's how you fucking book a 3-man tag team wrestling as 2 tag teams. That's pretty inventive booking. God bless you, Blom. Then Kimberly attacked Little Miss Roxy because she's friends with Nixon Newell. I wonder whether Kimberly attacked her because Nixon Newell got a WWE tryout this week. Even though this was recorded 3 weeks before. Fuck it. Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theories it is. And then to counter the other match that happened, Johnny Moss beat Trent Seven in I mean, this was strong style. In fact, it wasn't even actually strong style. It was Shibata style.
Oh, wow.
It was, I'm pretty sure Trent Seven had blood on his chest. A trickle of it or something. It was Stiff City. Stiff City. So then we get James Kennedy watching Blompier's fall from the Refuse to Lose show. And Kennedy saying he wants vengeance. He wants to avenge. So challenges Rampage to a 4-on-4 match for True Legacy. And the main event was Joe Hendry beating Pete Dunne. Hendry said he wanted Joseph Connors, but then Cody came out, gives prop to Hendry. He wants a shot as well. And I think he's getting it next. I don't know whether they announce whether he's getting it next week or Connors says, yeah, you can have your shot, but, I'll beat you. And as for you, Joe, I know all about you, And it goes into a brawl. Hendry manages to accidentally hit Cody. And then Hendry gets hit with a belt by Connors. And then Cody crossroads Connors and holds the belt aloft. Because that happened. Loaded from last weekend, the 29th, so before Halloween, had another video from Pacitti confirming that True Legacy would be defending the title against Joe Hendry. However, if Cody wins tonight, the True Legacy main event will be Cody defending against Kurt Angle. So the belt would still be on the line regardless. Kimberly destroys Little Miss Roxy in only a few minutes. Kimber goes to chair her, just like Kimber did to Nixon. I don't know if it was on the pay-per-view or on like the loaded afterwards or whatever. Nixon, though, makes the save, but Kimber chairs Nixon instead. So you get more of a beatdown on her. So then we get a backstage bit with Gabriel trying to appeal to Prince Amin to put his ego aside so they can become tag champs and wants a warm-up match to prepare. And Amin says, I'll consider it, but I need a deep tissue massage right now. Then Martin Kirby beat Travis Banks. Next, we have a backstage bit with Pacitti, with El Ligero, and he wants him to team up with El Desperado because, you know, lucha things, to face a meaning kid. Then Rampage versus Primate goes to a no contest as Primate just destroys the breath and they brawl. Security fail to split them, one of which I think landed on his neck as he got thrown out the ring. So I think somebody was being a bit too showy there. But then Prospect take Primate with them to the back. Then, thanks to Desperado without the ref or Ligero properly seeing, and an angle slam from Desperado, Ligero and with a top rope splash, and El Desperado beat a meaning kid. Then we get a video with Pacitti saying people are not using "Thank you, Adam Pacitti." They are using a very rude version of that hashtag. And he doesn't appreciate it. And if people keep using it, he will tell the internet. And whatever.
He will tell the
and then the main event. Yeah.
Wow.
For bullying.
God.
And then Connors beat Cody to retain with a handful of tights. And then as I put Pratt Joseph Connors didn't turn around because during this match, Hendry was, I don't know if he was on commentary or whether he was just at the desk watching the thing. But the idea was clearly Connors was supposed to turn around and then bloody Hendry would lay into him. Connors never fucking turned round. Had to buff his chest out like a robin, press into him to remind him to turn round, and then they actually did the brawl that was the spot to finish the segment with Cody raising Hendry's hand and then Cody thanking the fans. So he's still too green. And then finally, this past week, True Legacy Part 1, El Ligero, in his mask and all, drives in his Ford car. And Pacitti rushes out and says, "Oh, great to see you, man. You know, you're facing Pete Dunne for the internet title tonight. But I'm also putting you in the tag tournament tonight as well. Yep, you're doing double duty. Isn't that great?" And then you just hear the as Ligero locks the car. Okay. Then added bonus for this True Legacy show in Manchester. Shane and Bradshaw, the commentators, are actually got Cornette with them. And let's just say Cornette makes this commentary team viable. Sorry, Alex Shane, but sometimes you're annoying twat. By the way, Alex Shane did name drop the wrong company on the pay-per-view, apparently, according to Botchamania. Because he said he said NGW and then just cut himself off because he realized he was saying the wrong promotion. So in the tournament we had Johnny Moss and Liam Slater beat Mustache Mountain, which one partially is a disgrace, but two, when you think about it, Mustache Mountain have probably got busier things to deal with Shikara tag titles at the minute. And probably because either one of them might be going to WWE within the next 12 months. Because they be that good and be that talented. So then we had El Ligero beat Pete Dunne to retain the internet title. However, Dunne attacked him afterwards. And then Travis Banks came out to assist. And they basically said, "Oh, by the way, we're who you're facing in a tag tournament. So bring out Ligero's partner." which was a mistake because it was Alberto. But eventually it was Dunn and Banks, who are now being called the Strong Style Collective, beating Ligero and Patron to progress in the tournament. But Alberto got a pretty nice sending off, certainly. Then Prospect had a little promo thing and said, "We got a fourth guy. It's Primate." And they're like, "Oh my God." Because apparently they didn't watch themselves the previous week, knowing that they got him to basically recruit him. So that gimmick didn't work. Then Team Prospect in the match beat Team Rampage, which comprised of Amin and Kid, along with El Desperado and Rampage Brown, which finished with Rampage Brown getting rear naked choked by Primate. And then they had to put the Matanza mask back on him because that's what it looked like. Then Connors did a locker room promo. And I will say he's getting better, but he's still missing that something to really make it right. He's actually developing. And then in the main event for this first part, thanks to a very well-timed ref kick, so led to a ref bump and a smack of the title belt, Connors retains over Joe Hendry. So that's the TV stuff, at least for now. Because tonight, just gone, because we can say this because a couple of videos actually aired from that show that I guess were broadcast. There was another thank you Adam Pacitti video package that was done.
Okay.
Saying, these wrestlers they only get in here and wrestle for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm working non-stop from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. It's like the way it just peels off. It's beautiful. It's so once again, heel heat on him, which I must say he's done better than his other promo stuff. They actually sort of paid attention to this one. But they also put a video up, I think, during the pay-per-view, teasing something. A premonition, if you will.
How appropriate wording.
Which comes true because Matt Hardy is set to try and delete WCPW on its next live pay-per-view equivalent show, which is November 30th in Nottingham. And another video aired tonight on the YouTube channel with Pacitti taking offense to the fact that Matt's trying to delete it. And again, trying to get in the good books, I guess, of the fans. So, November 30th, on pay-per-view, Matt Hardy goes one-on-one with Bully Ray.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Well, it sort of led to possibly that, because in the promo he says, I don't, considering the issues I've been having with this hashtag, I know all about bullying. And Matt with his comments is just being a big fat bully. So I'm gonna, deal with it the only way possible.
That makes sense.
And then right at the end, it's like, yeah, he's taking on Bully Ray. You love it. Hashtag, you love it. Hashtag thank you, Adam Pacitti. It's like,
Oh yeah.
but then on top of that, all that stuff, WCPW's announced it's going to Orlando in April to do a show.
Uh-huh.
What?
It makes me think of things.
Well, shall I get to that fucking crazy shit? I don't mean to say it like that, but I probably do.
I know what you're trying to get to, but yes.
Yeah, I need to get to Jacob Cohen's tweets about this shit. So, admittedly, this has changed a bit since because NXT and the Hall of Fame are now going to be switching dates. So that means
Right.
Friday will now be the Hall of Fame on WrestleMania weekend, and Saturday will be NXT. So if you now take that into account, and I know a few of these shows might be changing because of what WWE's done, but on the same day as NXT, there's going to be a Shimmer show. There's going to be possibly a WrestleCon show, but who knows? Because WrestleCon has sort of hinted that they might be moving it, so that sort of changes things up for later on. WCPW's got a show. Women of Honor is going to be having a special showcase. WrestleCon's having a women's show, so I'm guessing that's probably Queens of Combat orientated. Because I'm guessing it isn't Shine. Probably, I don't know. Shikara's going to be having a show there in Orlando. Ring of Honor's doing their TV tapings after the first night of, both nights of Supercard of Honor, I guess, could be TV tapings, but previously when they've done it, the first one's been like a live event and the second one's been TV tapings, whatever. Evolve versus Progress Wrestling and WrestleCon Super Show. All on the same day.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that's going to work.
Plus, as well, that was noted down later in Mr. Jacob Cohen's tweets. There's a Beyond Wrestling show at midnight as well.
Yep.
So, holy shit. WrestleMania is getting ridiculous. So much for everybody saying that WWE was going to stop all these indie promotions. You know, taking away from the trade that they could do. I think WWE's realized if there's a shit ton of wrestling fans in the town, not everybody's going to be able to go to our shows because, we've only got so much capacity.
Right.
Because I know there was quite a lot of people that for the last one, in Texas, just in Dallas, some of them just went to the indie stuff because that's all they could afford to go to. And then watch like the pay-per-view, in their hotel room on television or whatever, via the network app or whatever.
To be honest, I don't know what to do. There's so many things I want to see for WrestleMania week. I guess it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
You may have Podcast Network presence at WrestleMania this year. We'll see.
Oh shit!
It's possible.
Well, that fucks up this show then in a. That fucks up this show in April.
I didn't say for sure. I said it's possible. We shall see.
Tying into that, because I just saw one of, and this is partly news and whatever, certainly on the indie front.
Right.
It's a big one. This past weekend at the last show last weekend, so 10 days ago, Progress Chapter 38, when men throw men at men. Mark Haskins won his triple threat match against Marty Scurll and Jimmy Havoc. Laid the belt in the center of the ring. And on top of that, he's also had to drop the Smash Wrestling Championship that he had and a whole load of other things. And has cancelled all bookings going forward because he's been advised to stop wrestling to heal a neck injury, with a very real possibility that he may never wrestle again. So I hope all goes well, because it's a he had a great he did wonders in PWG this year,
right?
And obviously he's gained a name for himself. But the fact that it's that serious, and that the possibility is it might not even happen. I mean, shit. Big old shit.
Indeed. So yeah, I think that's what culture?
Yeah.
Now we're in the news.
There's a little bit of breaking UFC news that's just come through, because on the UFC Tonight show on Fox Sports or whatever, UFC sort of announced some of its upcoming shows for the first quarter of 2017, like I was saying about. January 15th and 28th, Fight Nights in Phoenix, Arizona, and Denver, Colorado. And then the pay-per-view will be on the 21st of January, UFC 208 in Anaheim. 2 more Fight Nights scheduled for February, the 4th in Houston, Texas, and the 19th in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The pay-per-view for that month will be on the 11th, so sandwiched between those two, as UFC head for the first time to Brooklyn, New York. And then March the 4th, UFC 210 in Vegas. And then March the 11th, there'll be a Brazilian fight night, but they haven't said where. The one thing that is worth noting, though, is that 209 pay-per-view on January the 21st, is happening an hour away from the same night as Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz in Bellator.
Yes.
So UFC is trying to cut them off heavily. That's the equivalent of the report suggesting that TNA is going to be doing Impact tapings, if they're still existing, on WrestleMania weekend while everybody's in Orlando.
Smart booking. Not sure that'll work, though.
It's also worth noting that there's no Fight Pass only show for the first quarter. But it is noted that the only reason they did it for Silver versus Bisping from the UK this time, or that Q1 last year, was to get subscribers to the thing. But then again, there's going to be a lot of programming which will be digital only that the new owners are going to want to try and push. And also that there is only one event in the first 3 months outside of North America, whereas the Q1 for 2016, UFC went to Australia and London. And the Super Bowl weekend show isn't going to be a pay-per-view this year. It's going to be a free show on Fox Sports 1. So they're realizing they can't really compete. Because I think it really failed for them this past year with Super Bowl 50.
Right.
So then they're not making the same mistake by basically having the show available for free. Because I'm not sure, because I know they take it in turns, the TV networks, as to who shows the Super Bowl.
Right.
I don't know whether it's Fox's turn. You see, because if so, that would even shaft UFC up even more. So that's probably why they've done it. Also, I don't know whether this has just been announced or whether it was announced during NXT tonight, but it's confirmed tonight. Revival versus Ciampa and Gargano for the tag titles will happen at NXT TakeOver Toronto.
Yes.
So, boom, boom, shake, shake the room.
Indeed.
God, there's so many Will Smith references tonight. In
You'll
terms
have
of
that.
other news, looking through the stuff from Meltzer for the past 3 weeks. I should probably jump to that on my page. This is the one thing that we were also going to talk about before, while we had our glitch. Flow Slam signed a deal with WWN Live to be their official distributor for all their stuff. So this past weekend, Shine, that was on there. And all the Evolve shows from this weekend onward will be on there. I think it's I don't know how many. I think they've just said multi-year. They haven't specified how many years. But one risk that Flow Slam has at the minute is that the subscription service is $20 a month. But with that, you get archived to every single show that the promotions that they've got under the WM banner have done. So that's all the Evolves and the DGUSA shows.
Yep.
And the Shine events, along with all the other stuff like the WrestleMania weekend shows from the other promotions. I'm guessing if they're available on there, if they're viable through their network. So that all means Fight TV's probably got Ring of Honor and bugger all else apart from Mexican wrestling right now. In fact, I'll probably go to that app now while I quickly check to see if that's all there is on it, because that'll be interesting. Oh no, random ICW shows. I see. And a lot of other stuff now, but isn't. How much are they charging for Fear and Loathing now? 20 quid. Piss off. Oh, and there's the Delete WCPW show. They've actually got it up there. Actually surprising. Anyway, the interest in Flow Slam is that for similar deals involving every major non-WWE promotion in the world, with the exception of TNA because it's such a mess, but even that couldn't be ruled out. More names are being teased to be announced soon, and some people are wondering, whether they won't be able to do it live, but will Flow Slam be a place where they digitally stream PWG shows?
Possibly.
And or Ring of Honor. If it's more lucrative for them that way rather than doing it through the Fight TV app. And who knows who else if they want to make a deal. Jack Evans got fired by AAA for essentially being honest.
How's that work?
Well, basically, he said the company was far better off when Conan had power.
Uh-oh.
And knocked La Parka somewhat, but he basically said there's so much to learn from him because he gets over everywhere. But the thing is, AAA's losing a shit ton of talent as it is, so firing some for just making comments which aren't in context, aren't that bad, isn't helping their situation.
No, it's not.
Access have renewed Jim Ross for another year as play-by-play for New Japan.
That's good.
Tanahashi's going to be in a Kamen Rider movie. Yes! Scott Norton's teasing going back to New Japan.
How old is Norton now?
Apparently. Hey?
How old is Norton now?
55.
That sounds about right.
Recovering from his injury that he sustained in New Japan. So in his play shows happening this weekend is Yuji Nagata. I think one of the Rev Pro regulars is test his injuries. He's not sold just yet, which makes me think be back will be the ICW. Lucha Underground's been running with no publicity at all. So the fact that they did 3 to 350 attendance, which was no money for 2 shows, is impressive and also embarrassing at the same time. So who knows? Now, me and Owen have widely expected, and it sort of is all but confirmed that the main event of Final Battle is Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Yep.
There might be a problem with this, though, because O'Reilly's out of contract by the end of the year. So if you think about it, what the hell happens to the title? I've solved it with what happened this past weekend, but I'll get to it. TNA is going to be filming the Hardy Compound shows, I think, somewhere around this week. Obviously, they're trying to catch up and everything. WrestleMania tickets go on sale next Friday.
Yes.
For a whole load of things. It's going to, the list is going to feature the usual stuff, but also Raw and SmackDown. So it seems to hint that either Orlando's going to get SmackDown or somewhere very close to Orlando is going to get SmackDown.
Everything's at Amway. Except for Mania.
SmackDown.
Yep.
Lesnar apparently didn't make it clear that some of his supplements had because basically you're supposed to declare whether you're on any sort of medications or whatever, and Lesnar said no, but the stuff that he's taken would yes. So who knows what's going on with that. Randy Orton might not be at Survivor Series because his wife is expecting a baby girl and is due on the 22nd, which is 2 days after the show. So is he isn't scheduled for, is he? Yeah, he is scheduled to be part of Team SmackDown, isn't he, right now?
Right now.
Unless Baron Corbin makes a miracle recovery. Which wouldn't surprise me. Despite the WWE saying she isn't injured, Paige isn't taking any chances of surgery, having 3 screws put in her neck. So obviously, because it wasn't done with the say-so of WWE, she's had to pay for it herself.
Oh, God. Horrible.
Which is a bit of a shame. But it's the same person that operated on Nikki Bella and also operated on Tyson Kidd. So it's not like it's somebody that the WWE doesn't know. So that's the weird thing. She's gone to the same doctor that did their neck surgeries, but WWE says he isn't qualified. Double standards. Now, next week's going to be interesting in Lucha Underground because the Japanese girls are going to come in. Turns out that might have been a mistake for Lucha to do because two of the Stardom girls, Io Shirai, who's the current champion, I think, and Kairi Hojo have gotten offers to start in WWE in 2017. Apparently, Shirai was contacted by Funaki and Hojo was contacted by Simon Inoki and Shinsuke Nakamura himself. Apparently, they actually first came to prominence back in July when WWE ran at Sumo Hall, and there was a meeting thing there. But the interesting thing is, a lot of people are wondering whether this means Stardom is screwed, because that would be the equivalent of taking WWE and taking out Cena and Orton. Back in the day when Cena and Orton were the only two guys that were really prominent in the company, like 10 years ago. It's that sort of a talent sort of scoop. WWE sent out a questionnaire asking fans what indie promotions they watched. Everything got listed, but not TNA. Who knows?
So sad.
The December 8th NXT show in Melbourne, Australia is going to be taped for the network in some capacity. For WrestleMania 34, it's down to final 4 cities. We don't know what they are other than possibly Minneapolis might be getting a chance after it lost out to Orlando for 33.
I think Minneapolis is going to get it.
Brie and Daniel Bryan are going to be having a baby girl soon. Huzzah, hurrah, congrats, bada bada. Other noises. Fastlane has basically all but been confirmed for March the 5th in Milwaukee. Ryback and WWE are battling over the trademark for Feed Me More, apparently. So on a quick look. AJ Styles wants a match with Shawn Michaels at the Royal Rumble for some reason, which is unlikely because, Michaels actually respects the one more match thing. Stephanie McMahon was interviewed apparently for Ad Age with a very funny context, apparently, according to Dave. Because her 3 keys to marketing success were content that's reliable, genuine, authentic, and resonates with your consumer. They have a reason to care. If we're doing our jobs right, you become invested. LOL. Number 2, pop culture integration. 2 examples were Jon Stewart and also the Ziggler Miz feud going into the KFC thing. Double LOL. And then 3, giving back to the community because they want to give back and put smiles on fans' faces and create memories for them. 6-hour WrestleMania. Triple LOL. Jeez. Nakamura is being kept on NXT because there's idiots, apparently. Vince was asked about a potential sale of WWE and said that the company's open to anything, but controlling their own destiny is very important. So, you know, Triple H and Stephanie and Shane might be out of a business soon if he felt like it. Aries got a nasty orbital fracture from a botched kick between him and Nakamura at a house show in California. He's going to be out until the first quarter of 2017. So we'll have to wait probably till WrestleMania weekend for Itami versus Aries, I guess. Cell drew a legitimate sellout in Boston. So it wasn't like a fake sellout. It wasn't actual one. The names under contract apparently for the 205 Live are Kendrick, Perkins, Swan, Dar, Ho Lun, Cedric Alexander, Lindsay Dorado, Gran Metalik, Tozawa, because he's not going to be Akira Tozawa because they don't want to be associated with the manga. Jack Gallagher and the Bollywood Boys, apparently. Gulak, Neese, and Davari aren't signed to WWE contracts at the minute. So then we get to that time when I was talking about, you know, when you were saying about TNA and audience, cast members.
Oh no!
So ITV over here are trying to, or are actually doing another World of Sport style taping. There was one that was done as like a pilot that went fucking nowhere. All of a sudden, ITV are now doing it themselves, cutting out the middleman. But the main issue is they sent out 1,300 free tickets for a venue that holds 350 people.
Oh, that was dumb.
So nearly 1,000 people went to the show and couldn't get in. On top of that, they also told the fans not to chant "one fall" after the ring announcer says "one fall." The crowd did it in the opener, but then when they told them, "Don't fucking do that again," apparently they listened.
Oh my god.
But aside from that, it seems to have gone off somewhat well, I think. There was a bit of notes in it. Meltzer stuff I'll have a quick look at in a minute. The new Lucha Underground TV deal with TNT Serie, I'm guessing that's Mexican television probably, is not that big of a deal. Oh, Germany, actually. Wow. Lucha in Germany. It's not big of a deal because it's a minor station, because it's available in about 5 million homes in a country that's got a population of 91, so it's not entirely great. ACH and Ring of Honor have come to some sort of verbal agreement on a mutual release, which makes Final Battle possibly awkward. So I'm guessing that probably means that might be the last time you see ACH, probably. Mainly because he did some sort of very anti ROH style lines at the AAW show that he worked, because it was for a friend of his, Jim. It was in tribute to Jim Lynam, a friend of his. Those at AAW apparently said they didn't think it was about Ring of Honor, but talking about a bad relationship with a girlfriend and a divorce. That might have, pissed him off somehow or whatever. But he seems to be doing well in Japan and did pretty well in New Japan anyway, to be quite honest. The 15th anniversary weekend for Ring of Honor is going to be March the 10th in Vegas. So same place they did the anniversary weekend this year. They also announced the TV taping for January 14th in Atlanta at Center Stage, the venue that WCW taped out of for years. All going full circle.
Awesome.
Josh Matthews is going to be on Flow Sports doing MMA announcing for Valor Fights, apparently. That was the show that Kid Cash was on that got practically murdered on.
Yes.
Josh Matthews did. Well, we know why he did so badly. Josh Matthews was on the show. The Al Snow Wrestling Academy is now the Global Development Center. What the fuck? Hi. I lost control. That's funny. There are plans for an NXT Women's Tournament to be taping in either January or March. The stupid thing is, though, some women that have been contacted that don't work for WWE have been told January, and other ones have been told March. So, I finished up weekend. I'll have to quickly bring up the or last weekend, I should say. Quickly bring up the iHeart DG site because I haven't got that on my notes quickly. WWE's applied for a number of name trademarks, including Bobby Roode and Cedric Alexander. You hear that, TNA? But also, interestingly, were Drew Gulak and Tony Nese, even though they're not technically contracted to WWE, in which your car is fucked. Need I say? Eva Marie's completed filming her movie role in Inconceivable, so she looks like she'll be coming back soon. Oh dear. So then in terms of the latest stuff, so this is probably stuff that Owen doesn't know unless he's looking at the page that I'm looking at right now. Tickets for Survivor Series, because it's sold out on the secondary market, cheapest is $145. Whereas NXT TakeOver has $20 as its cheapest ticket, and Raw has a $19 ticket at its cheapest, at least at the time that Meltzer wrote it, which is sort of epic. For whatever reason, the decision was made to do an injury to Baron Corbin to open the spot to McMahon. So even he doesn't know why, and nobody knows why. Triton, who's been wrestling in the US regularly since July, says that CML told him that they don't want him working so much in America, but they also haven't offered him a shot at moving up the cards. So he might be going straight back to America if they don't give. Triple A's gotten a lot of heat with former wrestlers as they've beaten guys to the punch and registered names like Ray Phoenix and Sexy Dolce, which are names that they've never used, but the names that they're using. They also registered El Patron and are trying to get full rights to Octagon to prevent the original Octagon and the El Hijo de Octagon from using the name on the indies. Which is fucking... They've also registered Cierro Miedo, which is the catchphrase of Pentagon Jr., which, considering the AAW named their show Cierro Miedo, I think AAA is being stupid. Bloody hell. Octagon Cito may also be the next to go because he thinks he hasn't been used much on TV because they don't want to draw attention to the fact that Octagon is no longer with the promotion. So that's a second Octagon Cito that could be leaving the company. Apparently Vader was in a bad auto accident, described it as near fatal, and that he was unconscious and trapped in the car upside down for nearly over half an hour. His head had ended up completely misshapen, badly being elongated, and his face badly bruised up, including 2 black eyes. So I hope that all's going well with him. Some more notes regarding the ITV tapings from last weekend in Mandos here. Apparently, the studio they taped in actually held 650, not 350. Those involved in the show were very upbeat with the talent. I think this could be a career maker. The date listed for the airing might be New Year's Eve for 2 hours. Holy shit, I might have something to do at Christmas. But there's likely 4 different dates between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day that they're considering. Even more brilliant than boy. I don't even care when it is. The show was shot to be a pilot for what could end up as a 1-hour weekly show. Is this ITV realizing in British wrestling's popular? My God. What culture caused this? Interestingly, though, ITV have Jim Ross. Holy shit. And interestingly, not just as announcer, but as a producer as well. So a lot of his ideas were used, such as conceiving the television people not to take commercial breaks during matches like other companies do, and also giving the talent a pep talk. Ted, this is sort of spoilery in case you're interested. Ted Beasley got high marks as the authority figure. Davey Boy Smith Jr. could be getting a major push as a top babyface. Grado was super over to those there, and the first show apparently was built entirely around him. And in terms of old talents as well, they had legendary British talents. They had Marty Jones, Rollerball Rocco, Johnny Saint, and Klondike Kate all in attendance at the tapings as well. That's that. And the fact that Jim Ross is on it, I so want this to fucking work. My God. As long as they don't do it in like true British style like the old one, because that will just be boring to people. Perhaps like have like one match in that style, in tribute. If you just have the British wrestling guys do what they do, thank God. Please. This is why Challenge dropped TNA. Because they saw ITV doing this and they were like, well, fuck, we've lost. Man. Matt Riddle signed a multi-year deal with WWN. Of course, that could mean WWE in turn, of course, because of the partnership that they've got going. Flow Slam. Oh, they have announced their next deals. They are doing deals with PWX and Beyond Wrestling. For PWX, they're going to be running the PWX X16 tournament live next weekend, the 19th and 20th of November. But for the Beyond Wrestling deal, it's only for their 11th of December show and for a 90-day rights to show it on demand. So it's not completely signed up, that one there anyway. Drew Galloway won't be given clearance to wrestle until the 16th, so next Wednesday. So all the matches this weekend. He was supposed to be facing Tomoaki Honma this Friday for night 1 of the Global War stuff, but he isn't. But with his TNA contract expiring soon, he can do a lot more. But through that, he's off both the Evolve shows this weekend in New York and Maryland. However, through Evolve's working agreement with WWE, taking Galloway's place is Tommy End.
That's cool.
But to show what WWE thinks of Flow Sports, even though they own a small percent of Flow Sports, those Tommy End matches will be live only. They won't be shown live on Flow Slam. While not officially announced, it looks like the next PWG show will be December 16th. So that's the same. That's the same night as Roadblock, isn't it? I think. No, it can't be, because that'd be a Friday. It's the same. It's around that same week anyway. Same weekend, I think. Kurt Angle has had his third kid with his wife Giovanna, a girl named Nicoletta Sky Angle, this past week. Congrats to him and Giovanna. Tammy Sitch is going to be sentenced to next Friday, the 18th. Loki came out of retirement this weekend as a mystery partner of Homicide and Eddie Kingston for the AAW show this weekend, and will be appearing on their Windy City Classic show on the 26th for Thanksgiving weekend and all that. Also on this AAW show, Matt Hardy and Chris Hero worked as a tag team as Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Hero. Hero singing Obsolete, doing a reverse worm, and Hero doing a swanton bomb as well.
Oh my God, I want to see
interesting. It's also worth noting that Ring of Honor could be interesting because the Young Bucks contract expires at the end of the year. Bobby Fish's does, Kyle O'Reilly's does, Jay Lethal's does, Hanson and Rowe, Kenny King, Steve Corino, and BJ Whitmer. So who knows? And there's also a lot of rumors suggesting perhaps Dave Lagana could go back to them.
Wouldn't shock me.
Because they're saying about how much of a factor TNA would be for these other talents, particularly since the one person in TNA most knowledgeable about them, Lagana, isn't with them. So, they might not be going instead now. So who knows what happens. Something else if I scroll further down. There are 23 announced pro wrestling shows between Thursday and Tuesday for WrestleMania weekend.
Wow.
There was 14 2 years ago for WrestleMania 31 weekend. Apparently the reason they are moving the Hall of Fame and switching it with NXT is because they're using the same arena for everything, and it'll be too long to set it up. Changing it from a live show to Hall of Fame and then back to a live show for Raw. So in that, basically, the way they can then do it is do it on Friday, take it down, up for the NXT show, and leave it there all weekend for Raw and SmackDown on the Monday and the Tuesday. That's the logic as to why it happened. With the network subscription numbers going down in September, even with 2 pay-per-views instead of 1, apparently they are going to make another change. But the last word is there'll be perhaps not less shows completely, but I've got a feeling that certain months will probably only have 1 show or the other. But then I guess they'll try and work it out in such a way so that certain shows only have 1 pay-per-view a month, but other times there would be 2, sort of thing. The NXT shows were cancelled due to advance or interest. Them days before with Nakamura and Asuka out there anyway. 14th and the 15th moved to early in the month, so the Australia tour now ends December 13th, apparently. WWE is planning on using Heyman and JBL more with various different ideas. including a show as a takeoff on ESPN's Pardon the Interruption, and also trying to bring back a lot of ECW characters like Taz, the Dudleys, Tommy Dreamer, and such to look back at that era. If you had Heyman and Jay in the interruption style thing, that could be a hell. People might want to watch.
That sounds fun.
Oh, something. That I guess why there was no Tom Phillips. I didn't notice because I didn't watch it fully. Tom Phillips was weak, so there was 4 announcers.
Too much.
Does Tom to be sort of helping it out Ronaldo, possibly? Because if Ronaldo's then going to be doing a third hour of 205, you know, his voice might not be able to hold. Who knows? Interestingly, the Banks versus Charlotte finish not getting over was blamed by Vince, not on the fact that Charlotte won, but because Sasha Banks botched because she didn't go through the table. You ignorant shit, Vince. Was 100% behind changing the finish to the way he did, and there's been no regret after the fact that anyone can see. Which makes the fact that they went on last even weirder.
Yep.
Apparently the situation with Shirai and Hojo, which I talked about, has actually changed again. Shirai, who's leaving, was believed to have been a definitive. She told the company is now actually reconsidering staying. And Hojo is also considering because they've received new offers to stay. And are thinking that they have sure things in their home country, and it's an uncertainty whether they'll be successful in NXT. That's interesting. Mora arrived this week in Orlando and is moving in with Ricochet and Tessa Blanchard.
Nice.
That's a house I want to be in.
Indeed.
That's a fucking house, man. WWE 2K17 launch apparently. Majority people got it on PS4 compared to Xbox. The figures actually weren't that much different between PS3 and Xbox 360. 44% of the sales were in the US, 14% in Japan, 11. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, the company did tryouts in Glasgow this week with European talent, including Pete Dunne, Neil, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. I didn't know that. For the ITV tapings, she is actually pretty impressive. Sadie Gibbs, who's a 22-year-old fitness model. I don't even know who she is. Aisha Ray, who was trained by the Knights. Oh, look, we've got a good Ginny and also Pollyanna, who I've heard a lot of good things of as well. So that list alone, from the names that I know, I approve. In terms of the most network, Hell in the Cell was number 1 again. Interestingly, the number 3 in the list, or sorry, number 2, the number 3, probably because it got put up on the network like live feed, was the 92 Survivor Series. I guess people that missed it were catching up on it that way. Number 4 is A Table for Three with Booker T, R-Truth, and Goldust. Followed by the Bill Goldberg video, Mania 32. The Nitro that featured Goldberg's debut against Hugh Morris. One of the Nitro episodes that had Goldberg versus Mongo. No Mercy in the October 26th NXT. There were 3 more Goldberg Nitros that got in the top 20, or 11 through 20, I guess I should say. And they've never had anyone's return lead to old shows with those guys in the top 20, yet alone 5 Nitros and 1 video. That's interesting. The leading paper in Germany's hyping up about Tim Weiss, the former national team goalkeeper, making his debut on the Munich show, apparently. And Mascara Dorada's moving to Orlando soon, apparently. So he'll be coming over permanently. Then Meltzer talks about the election. I guess wrestling relations to it. I guess the closest thing would be what's his name, Ventura, probably.
Yep.
So in terms of like key stuff to note from the indies, the King of Pro Wrestling show had a pre-show match which had Tiger Mask W, who was Kota Ibushi, beat Red Death Mask, who was Juice Robinson.
That's great.
That's ridiculously awesome. So in terms of like big stuff that's happened since we were gone, at the Kobe show back in September, Kojima, Ricochet, and David Finlay became the 6-man tag champs, beating Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Oh no, because that was vacated because Sydal wasn't able to compete. They originally due to flight issues, but basically it's come out it was because he had some liquid marijuana on him or some shape. So basically he's missing in action. He still tweets from time to time, so he's still alive, but he hasn't been doing anything. So I don't know whether he's like in quarantine or something. And Tetsuya Naito beat Michael Elgin, which means that Naito is the guy that's won everything. The first guy to have won everything. You know, having won the heavyweight title, the IC title, the Never Openweight title, the G1 Climax, and the New Japan Cup. So he's even trumping Okada now. He's got a lot to boast about. Probably rightfully so. Cesaro had a match which he won, beating Cybercon, and announced that, you know, he was departing on November the 3rd, which I'm quickly trying to bring up now if I get the card up. Unsurprisingly, he took the fall from Yamato in a match that went 27 and a half minutes at least. In terms of what happened, BB Hulk said Tozawa was the best and he fucking hates Shingo. That's the translation quote, I guess. You know, a lot of them, you know, good luck with America. Yosuke Santa Maria said goodbye with a kiss, because, you know, he does. And even Yamato, supposed to be, you know, his villain, said no one wanted to see him go from the rosters that wanted him to stay. Tozawa doesn't need to worry about them. They'll meet again somewhere. Whatever happens, and when that happens, they'll laugh, cry, and act like idiots again together. So yeah, it was truly like an emotional shit, man. I can't take it anymore. So it's a style thing. Speaking of departures, Noam Dar's departure was an interesting one for Preston Championship Wrestling, because the title match that he was in became a no contest because Yestin Reese, I guess, cashed in an opportunity and successfully won. So Noam Dar was finished within the second match of the show, dropping the title to Austin Reese. In Ciampa's last appearance in the UK, Zack Sabre beat him 2 falls to 1 in the 2 out of 3 falls match. Interestingly, it was only 2 falls because Ciampa and Zack managed to double pin her in the first. So it was immediately a best of 1 sort of match. Have a quick look. Skip through the stuff. Just match. The 2 out of 3 1-1 no contest because Gregory Iron interrupted with a glorious bomb, probably because of Candice and Johnny's wedding, and challenged Gargano to one more match with Gargano and Candice teaming up to take on Gregory Iron and Alex Daniels, which Gargano accepted. And, of course, Gargano took the pinfall because that's what he does, because he's a man. He's the man. He's all sorts of man. Dr. Wagner. Then we had the AAA show. Dr. Wagner Jr. winning in a triple threat because the planned tag match didn't happen because of ADR stabbing issue. Whatever happens with that, it's still unclear what happened with that in terms of, who knows. But nothing major happened there from what I can tell. Wow, might as well. The Speed King tournament in Southside Wrestling saw Mark Haskins win. So I shouldn't have brought that up, should I? Awkward. Beating the champ Will Ospreay along with Bubblegum, Matt Cross, Robbie X, and Sami Callihan. Also, they had the Queen of the Ring tournament, which was won by Melina, beating Kaylee Ray in the finals. She beat Viper in the semifinals, while Kaylee Ray beat Jessica Havoc as well. And Kaylee Ray beat Nixon Newell in a street fight in the quarterfinals to retain her belt at that stage. So, yeah, Kaylee Ray and Nixon Newell do fight each other. It's just not in WCPW where people would watch. God damn it. WCPW, book it, damn it. Book it. It's not that hard.
You love it.
The Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Nothing really happened in terms of major title changes apart from the ladder war, which was epic. I think I already said to everybody that they should watch it in the video that I did manage to get out. So yeah, just watch that. Scroll through. The AAW Jim Lynam Memorial Tournament was won by Chris Hero, beating Zack Sabre Jr. in the final. Interestingly, there was a weird sort of tag title. No, it was a tag match for the AAW Heavyweight Singles title, but it was Korea versus Hair versus title versus Mask. And because Pentagon got pinned by Sami Callihan, Pentagon loses the title. So that happened. Danny Havoc won Tangled Web. I'm not sure what he's doing with that opportunity, whether he's cashing it in somewhere down the line. Joey, apparently during the October Shikara show, between matches, Joey Styles and some children beat another team of children in a game of Alaskan baseball. I don't know what that is. Huh? Hallowicked also retained the title against Heidi Lovelace. I can tell you as well that he retained this weekend against Ophidian. And they are announcing this coming weekend on the live special on Chicaratopia, the card for the final weekend in Chicago next month. I don't know what's happening with that. There's no real teasers yet. New Japan's King of Pro Wrestling show, the last major one that went down. Quite a lot happened, to be quite honest. Makabe and Toru Yano continued having a fight in their 8-man tag match that they were involved with, which led to Makabe calling out for a shot at the tag belts that Yano and Marufuji hold. So it looks like Honma and Makabe might be getting a shot in Noah or in New Japan somewhere down the line. In the 8-man tag that they had, Team Noah beat Team New Japan, and unsurprisingly, they beat the shit out of each other after the fight, which is always good. The Young Bucks retained their junior tag belts against Ricochet and Finlay. The Briscoes dropped the belts to the Gorillas of Destiny. Shibata retained the Never Openweight title against O'Reilly, which then led to Evil, which leads to the stuff that happened this past week. And Omega retained the rights to go to the Tokyo Dome, beating Goto, and Okada retained against Marufuji, which then led to that happening. Oh, wait, I forgot a UFC card. I forgot Bisping versus Henderson, which was one of the best matches of the year. I'll just mention that there. Completely missed that one. My bad. Don't think there was anything major else happening there. Evolve, Timothy Thatcher's still champion for some reason, even though the crowd don't like him. I still don't get this. Whatever. I don't mean to sound like that, but I sort of do. There was one thing that happened with the Glory by Honor tapings, which is a bit weird. So it was the ROH champions versus the All-Stars. So it was Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and the Bucks taking on Cabana, Dalton Castle, and the Briscoes. It eventually ended up with the only people left being the Young Bucks and Dalton Castle, but then proposed that he and Colt then challenge for the titles right then and there. So all of a sudden, the Champions All-Stars match became a tag match. And after a couple of super kicks to the Cabana, Dalton got the Meltzer driver and the Young Bucks retained. So the tag titles opportunity was gone. I tells you. Fight Club Pro had quite a few shows. Probably there's so much to go for. It's not worth running through everything. Canada won the Can USA Classic in Smash Wrestling 4 matches to 3. Matches of note in that one: Zandra Bale as Batman beat Lever. It was a the film was. I'm saying. Also, Rosemary beat Ali in the steel cage match, which was said to be pretty interesting, which is what you expect. Whole load of ICW house shows and Ring of Honor house shows, which I don't want to skip through, but Owen sort of wants me to. What I will say, though, is the proposed card at the minute for Final Battle is Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly for the Ring of Honor World title. Young Bucks versus the Briscoes for the tag titles. Bobby Fish taking on Dragon Lee for the Ring of Honor TV title. In a grudge match, it's going to be Dalton Castle versus Colt Cabana, which, I don't think anybody can object to. Also Also possibly happening, Silas Young versus Jushin Thunder Liger. I honestly think it's going to be Liger versus Cody, but who knows? And also the 6-man tag thing, because of results that have happened on the tapings. It'll be ACH, Kushida, and Jay White taking on the Kingdom, which is, from what I remember, the Kingdom is... It was in the Ring of Honor TV tapings that happened. It's Matt Taven, but it's 2 other guys to obviously take the place of Cole and Bennett, but I can run through that another time if I can remember. So in terms of New Japan, Power Struggle itself, the Guerrillas of Destiny retained against Ishii and Yoshihashi in their match. The Super Junior Tag Final went to Roppongi Vice, beating Ishimori and ACH, which led to a stare down between them. Between the Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice. Bushi beat Kushida to win the junior title. Oh, sorry, no. Kushida beat Bushi to win the title. Other way around. But then afterwards, that time bomb went off that they've been teasing for so long. And the time bomb, it turns out, is Kamitachi. Except he isn't going to be called Kamitachi anymore. He's going by his real name or the name he's using anyway, of Hiromu Takahashi, and challenged him for the Tokyo Dome. And apparently the crowd lost their shit. That's probably a good thing. In the Bullet Club versus Chaos 8-man, Omega pinned Okada, which probably means Okada's winning in January. Bollocks. Evil beat Shibata for the Never Openweight title. Tanahashi and Sanada apparently had an excellent match, with Tanahashi getting the win. And Tetsuya Naito retained against Jay Lethal. It didn't really entirely work at the show. You could tell it wasn't the right sort of chemistry between the face and the heel, supposedly. But then Tanahashi came out to challenge Naito for the belt, stating it's his last chance, and he gave the challenge to Naito if Naito wants to accept it, which I think is all but signed up now. And also, during the backstage interview, Naito said he had something exciting to bring to the upcoming World Tag League, which that's starting next weekend. One of the big surprises is Billy Gunn's in it for some reason. Let me quickly bring up the basic gist of the card, if I can. Oh, Pro Wrestling Noah's also changed its name to Noah Global Entertainment because they've got new owners and everything. With the New Japan stuff. Oh, Evil's going to be defending against Shibata in a rematch this coming Tuesday at the Singapore show that New Japan's got going. And in terms of Hanson and Rowe from Ring of Honor are going to be part of it. Naito's teaming up with a mystery partner for Los Ingobernables de Japón, so I'm not sure who that'd be. Can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Also, Bad Luck Fale and the Bone Soldier for Bullet Club. Who's that? I don't know if I'm supposed to know who that is. Awkward. But yeah, they announced the 4 matches that I previously mentioned: Okada, Omega, Naito, Tanahashi, Kushida, and Kamitachi, and the Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice for Tokyo Dome. Obviously, most of it has still got to be worked out. Most notably, the Tag World. The world will be taking on the Gorillas of Destiny, who are the reigning champs. Whether that will result somehow for the sure. In terms of other stuff that this happened this weekend, Shine 38, Evilise retained the Shine title via submission. Lufisto became #1 contender via submission herself against Allysin Kay. Raquel beat Tessa Blanchard in what's said to be an awful match, with Raquel botching a flatliner DDT twice. Lever, who was dressed as a Danganronpa character, won. That's all that matters. And also the opening match with Mercedes Martinez versus Andrea got a lot of good reception as well, as did Rhea O'Reilly versus Rachel Ellering. So overall, said to be a pretty strong show. Good debut on Flow Slam, certainly. Also, on the AEW show, Low Key made his return. We also had Zack Sabre beat Prince Mustafa Ali in the main event. In Shikara this week, Princess Kimberly, one of the big ones, beat Max Smashmaster after suplexing him off the second turnbuckle and pinning him with the alligator clutch. And then in the match between the Ants and the Hexed Men, it went to a double DQ because Frightmare ripped off Soldier Ant's remaining antenna, and Amasis ripped off part of Frightmare's mask. So, yeah, this is getting dirty. Oh, and also Chuck Taylor, Trademark, and Dustin managed to win the four-corner elimination match. So if they get to go for the tag title soon, that's going to be bloody crazy. In AIW, the Double Dare Tag Tournament was won by Crazy Payne, beating the Jollyville Fuckets to win the tag titles that I think were vacated. And Beyond Wrestling's tournament for today, the women's by Kimberly beating Vader Scott in the final, and the men's finals was won by Matt Riddle beating Donovan Dijak with the Bro Mission, but Dijak refused to tap, passed out. That's the way it went. And with Survival of the Fittest, Night 1 saw wins for Panther, Jax Dane, Punishment Martinez, Bobby Fish, Dalton Castle, and Leo Rush. And then in Night 2, it was Bobby Fish that managed to tap out, make Leo Rush tap out in the end to win Survival of the Fittest and get a future Ring of Honor World title shot somewhere down the line. I don't know whether that's going to be on the UK tour or whether it's, who knows, with the contract situation. In terms of this weekend, Dragon Gate Japan has got a show coming up within the next few hours, which you can probably catch on Nico if you want to catch it live. In terms of what's on that card, if I can find it, I'll bring that up in a minute. Rev Pro have got a show this Friday and Saturday, 2 shows this Friday and Saturday, which are the Global War show with New Japan talent. Progress have got their Potential and Endeavor shows this Monday and Tuesday evening, which is basically sort of like the academy and some of the younger talents getting some experience in the ring. Smash Wrestling has got a 3-day weekend of shows. Worth noting that Joe Hendry is going to be heading over there, taking on over the 3 nights Jimmy Havoc, Joey Ryan, soon before his wedding apparently, and in a 4-way with Scotty O'Shea, Shane Sabre, and John Greed. Jimmy Havoc's also going over there to take on the loser of Matt Cross or Tyson Dukes, which I'll get to in a minute, as well as Brent Banks. But yeah, the big thing coming out of it, because of Mark Haskins' injury that I talked about earlier, there is a tournament happening to crown the new Smash Wrestling champion. The first night has the two semi-finals of Brent Banks and Matt Cross versus Tyson Dukes. The winners will face each other, and the losers will face Jimmy Havoc in the case of Cross or Dukes. And then Dylan Andrews, Tarek John Greed, and whoever loses between Brent Banks and Kevin Bennett. And no matter what, whoever wins the title will be defending it on the third night in Toronto. Tyson Dukes and Kevin Bennett go one-on-one in a grudge match. So I don't know whether that will be happening twice in the week. Matt Cross, if he won, would be taking on Mike Bailey for his title, I'm guessing. And Brent Banks is set to take on Jimmy Havoc. So it depends what angle they go. I'm not sure. One I do want to mention more in detail a little bit. House of Glory Wrestling have got a show in Trumbull, Connecticut entitled Moving with Hope. It's a benefit show to support survivors of TBI, spinal cord injury, and neurological disease. This Saturday, November 12th. Doors open at 3 p.m. with bell time at 4 at InSport Centers in Trumbull, Connecticut. Tickets are only $10 for this. So, helping charity, and you should be seeing some good wrestling because House of Glory is the promotion of Amazing Red and all that. Have done a good job. Excellence Pro will be culminating their Excellence Championship Series, which at Sellersville, Pennsylvania, featuring Hallowicked versus Granakuma, Anthony Gangon versus Icarus, Clutch Adams versus Oleg the Usurper, and the Boar Wiley. That will continue on with semifinals and finals. A whole load of shows this weekend. Shimmer 8 Friday evening at Logan Square. 2 shows in the afternoon and the evening on 7 and 88, same venue. Berwyn Eagles Club on the Sunday for Shimmers 89 and 90 over the afternoon and the evening. Evolve this weekend, 2 shows, all on Flow Slam or live in attendance, but tickets are certainly limited for the first show at La Boom in Queens, New York. On the card, we've got Timothy Thatcher taking on Drew Gulak, Zack Sabre versus Ethan Page, Dustin versus Matt Riddle, Chris Hero versus Tracy Williams, Fred Yehai versus Jason Kincaid, Darby Allin and Chris Dickinson, and for the live crowd only, Tony Nese taking on Tommy End. For the show in Yopper, Maryland on November 13th on the Sunday, Timothy Thatcher defends Timothy Thatcher or Drew Gulak, whoever wins that, will defend against Tony Nese. So there's the possibility that the Evolve title will be on Raw, as they keep boasting about. Somehow I don't think so, unless Drew Gulak wins. Tony Nese, you have no chance, probably. Chris Hero takes on Matt Riddle for the 3rd time in there. Whoever loses between Gulak and Thatcher takes on Zack Sabre Jr. See, now that I want Timothy Thatcher to keep his title because I want to see Gulak and Zack Sabre Jr. more. Ethan Page with the Gatekeepers takes on Chris Dickinson. Wow, that's going to be a fight. And also Tracy Williams versus Tommy End for the live attendance only. Also Dustin. Drew Galloway will be in attendance but not wrestling. Also Fred Yehai and Darby Allin and others are confirmed. There are more tickets available for that one, though. Certainly, you can get more details on dgusa.tv. I think that's all the indie stuff from the past month. Sorry it took so long, Owen.
It's all right. We move on to NXT this week.
Yeah.
Short show.
I mean, not a whole lot of stuff hugely went down because a lot of this was the tapings from trying to think from the California shows.
Yep.
That happened. They certainly made it official with the Nakamura and Joe thing. The Authors of Pain beat DIY in one of the semi-finals, with thanks to a little bit of assistance from Revival as well. Then, interestingly, they're saying the return is happening next week. So I'm trying to work out who that is from the spoilers. Because I'm doubting it's the Sarah Michelle Gellar film. Sorry, I had to remind you, Owen.
Oh, God.
TM61 beat Sanity. So it's going to be TM61 versus Authors of Pain in the final at TakeOver Toronto.
That's a bad final.
Ember Moon beat Rachel Evers, which is basically Rachel Ellering, but borrowed the last name of Lance Storm in real life for the match. It's a nice little touch. Rachel did as you'd expect from an Ellering beautifully. Her and Ember Moon worked well together. Although interestingly, this episode was actually taped at Full Sail, so this is one that Owen would have seen. Did you go to that one or not?
That's the one I missed.
That's the one you missed, right?
It's the second taping, not the first one.
And then they had the contract signing, which I thought happened last week because they did the tapings all weird, I guess, and skew if that I talked about on the video that's up. Basically, Joe just had a separate table that he got himself on the stage. Joe signed it, then purposely dropped it when Regal was going for it. So then Nakamura signed it. He dropped it himself when he was handed it, beat the shit out of security, put one through the table, just to, I guess, scare the shit out of Joe. And that was it. So, because the fact the Authors of Pain won, you had to logically say that TM61 would win because you couldn't really have a heel versus heel in the final of the Dusty Classic. But the fact that we're actually getting Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa for the tag belts is making me wonder, especially considering Toronto is a Gargano town in terms of Smash Wrestling. Are they pulling the trigger? God damn, I hope so.
Possibly.
So yeah, brief rundown of that, because obviously with that I can't watch it live because Lucha Underground's on at the same time. I don't have a network, so thanks, Meltzer. I think it was him. Did he do the write-up? Yeah. Oh no, I have to say, I don't know how to pronounce that. Arya Whitner for F4W.
All I know is that I should be back next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
In terms of that Dragon Gate show that's coming up, hopefully there's a list of the card. I can find it. Oh, apparently the card is going to be announced at the start of the show. So I can't tell you what that was advantageous. The show is find out when the show starts. That's a bit awkward.
Wow.
But we'll see. But yeah.
And we, as always, are going to be ending with Ring of Honor tonight.
Right. Let me get back up to the top. Yeah, I should be. Scroll past WCPW. There we go. So we started off with Toru Yano versus Michael Elgin, which is interesting because, you know, Elgin actually had a match with Toru Yano and it wasn't actually... Well, there was obviously comedy stuff happening and everything, like Yano doing stuff, but it wasn't like a short match. It actually did go on for somewhat of a period of time. Elgin getting the win with a sit-out powerbomb after failing to make Yano stay down with a snake eyes onto exposed turnbuckle, following by his clothesline from somewhere near hell, I guess you could call. We had a Dragon Lee video package hyping him up, ahead of Final Battle. They had a video package as well hyping up the Bobby Fish and Adam Page TV title match, which is going to air this coming weekend, next week. But there was a proving ground match between Dragon Lee and Bobby Fish, which was a sight to behold, really nice. But Fish the finish came with Fish going for a suplex, but Lee basically just landed on his feet from it and put a La Magistral on him, if I can say it properly, to get the win. So that sort of is what, because it was a proving ground match, that's what's led to this match being set for Final Battle. And then we had, there we go. The Kingdom is Matt Taven, Vinny Marsaglia, and TKO Ryan, apparently. And they beat Adam Cole and the Young Bucks in probably somewhat like that. Thanks to, the referee being distracted by various stuff going on the outside. Taven and O'Ryan hit low blows on the buck on Matt, I think, from the Bucks. So O'Ryan hit an Island Driver, and then Taven hit the climax, and then Vinny got a swanton, and then Taven got the pinfall. So it's the Kingdom of Taven, Vinny, and TK taking on ACH, Kushida, and Jay White to crown the first ever trio champs. I'm still trying to remember who Vinny Marsaglia is and TKO Ryan is, and to whether I'm supposed to know them off the top of my head. Probably, but I'm being a plonker like that. There you go. That is slightly all she wrote. That's the tape delay.
There we go.
The technical delay. We actually went just hours.
Yeah, sorry about
actually
that.
Shorter than we've done before the cut. So positive.
So that's your show. Join us on Monday night for Raw. We will be going the Go Home show for Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Wednesday Wrestling Podcast next week, we'll do the Go Home show for NXT TakeOver Toronto. Which I still revel in the fact that I called that.
Along with SmackDown and TNA, your usual ones.
Yep.
Building towards Final Battle for Ring of Honor. And of course, results from Shimmer. I'll certainly we'll do them in more focus next week, especially with Shimmer, because they're good. One thing I didn't mention as well, apparently Sexy Star is going to be part of the Shimmer tapings. So I guess she's back in wrestling. So screw you, AAA. Along with a whole host of other things that we probably don't know. And TNA / Dixie / Billy / who knows what. And then, of course, that will build into Survivor Series weekend coverage from us.
Yes.
In a week and a half, with Takeover on the Saturday, and Survive 4 hours of this series Sunday.
Oh God. Not looking forward to this at all. Way too much wrestling. Way too much wrestling.
Holy shit. I missed it. James Ellsworth was on the local house show to me tonight.
God. That's great.
He made his house show. He didn't wrestle. He just showed up late on in the match and did his sweet chin music. Because, I'm going to be respectful to him. I missed it. I knew I had to go for some reason. And turns out It was James Ellsworth.
Nice. Well, I think that's our show.
Mhm.
Monday, join the network for the debut of someone new. Let's put it that way.
Ooh. It's Dave
Podcast.
Lagana. We've managed to get.
Yes. Podcast Network's going to be changing a lot in the next several months, so stay tuned for that. So that's the end of our show tonight. Thank you for joining us. And as always, Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
Find me at Ash's My Name UK. Eventually, when I've got enough confidence and I've got it hooked up a bit more often than just once since I bought it, there might be a PSN name coming.
Nice.
And also some way for Owen to hook up his PS4 to the internet and my PS4, and for me to get a copy of WWE 2K17. And then we can probably Twitch stream us facing each other or recreating probably matches or whatever.
Well, a PS4 is in my future, but 2K17, unfortunately, is not for the time being.
Well, wait until Black Friday when it will probably be $30 because they'll be desperate at 2K.
I might do that, actually.
That might be very, very useful. But first, Glorious Bomb.
Yes.
Why is that not a thing anymore, damn it, people? Although, I'm just realizing Bobby Roode, Toronto, Glorious Bomb. Holy shit.
Yes.
I'll probably say that again next week, but it needs to be said again.
All right. Follow me on Twitter at SirOwenDisney. Follow the network on Twitter at Podcast Network. Check out our merch at Zazzle and check out our Facebook fan page at Podcast Network. So that's our show. Once again, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. More movie content coming on the Podcast Network. New review just got posted recently with Doctor Strange, Jack Reacher, Desierto, Trolls, and Storks. And we got a lot of AJ content coming this weekend, a lot of catch-up videos to do. So if there's movies you wanted to see AJ review, chances are this week you're going to get your wish. So, and like I said before, and I'll say it again, the Halloween Horror Nights 26 final podcast will be coming sometime in the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned for more information on that. So, in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls.
That's all. Hang on. I need to do it right because I fucked it up in the video, so it needs to make context. Shit. Hang on. I'm going to have to go on the call twice. Bear with me.
Trying to do an outro.
Yeah. She's doubly better.
Okay, go ahead.
That just looks fucking weird. That's why I love it.
Oh, God.
That's all we gotta say.
He seems funnier now. And you're only going to get that reference if you saw Bill and Ted this year. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.